Bespoke radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Yeah, I'm here. Just watching all of the dancing gifs. I love it. Absolutely love it. You guys Fade to Black, Bespoke Radio for the masses. Today's Thursday, September 15th. 259 days into the new year. Just 107 days left. We are live from a bunker somewhere in downtown Burbank, California. I'd like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States, hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the Planet. I'm your oh-so-humble host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? It's Thursday. Tonight is Fadernight. We got Jon Rappoport and his No More Fake newsroom, followed by open lines all night long. The call-in number is 323-825-5045. Follows on Twitter at JChurchRadio, Facebook, YouTube. Everything is Fade to Black, JChurchRadio, Jimmy Church Radio. Go figure it out. Follow, like, and subscribe right now over at jimmychurchradio.com. You can email throughout the show tonight, jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. The sandbox, of course, is hashtag F2B. We don't bite. Man, the dancing gifts tonight are outrageous. You guys came ready. My goodness. Look at Les. Les coming in strong. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love all of the... I'm just so distracted. Is that John Lennon? What? Or, no, is that Ringo Starr? Oh, man. All right. Let's do this. It's Thursday night. It's Fader night. And let's get everything out of the way so I can get yapping and start taking your phone calls as soon as we can. We are getting ready for our big party tomorrow over at Casa de Church for David Icke. And he is here in the United States. And we will be, after the party tomorrow, heading to bed early as we can, and heading down to Irvine because he is there for his worldwide wake-up tour. And it is this Saturday, the 17th, in Irvine. Tickets are still available, a few. You can just go to our website, jimmychurchradio.com, click on the banner. It'll take you straight over. Next week, on the 24th, he will be in San Francisco at the Craneway Pavilion on Saturday the 24th. Just click on the banner, go and look at the tickets, see what's available, and get it cracking. We're going to have a good time. We're going down with a large group of Fadernauts, and we're going to occupy the Worldwide Wake Up Tour. So come and hang out with all of us. It's going to be fun. It's going to be great. Also, Life Change Tea. Got our newest shipment in this week. Got some more pine bark. Oh, thank goodness. Running out of the pine bark. Anyway, go to getthetea.com. That's all you got to do. Just go and click on the banner, mention Jimmy when you order, either over the phone or online, and you will get free shipping. Just go to the specials page. Everything is there. Ronnie McMullen will be joining us on Monday here on the show. Also, Studio Dome and their Fadernight special, which is a hard shell case packed with a portable stereo Bluetooth sound system, featuring the new TWS True Wireless Wireless Bluetooth Stereo Technology. All right, 2 SBB2 speakers in a hard shell case, $129. Just use the promo code JCRTWS when you order, 60% off the normal price. Do it now, and you will also get free shipping. Yes. I was out working all day today, shopping, because I'm married to a chef. And as you guys all know, and if you've ever had the opportunity to get on the invite list over to one of our dinner parties, you know exactly what I am talking about. She is no joke. Rita is the very best. But what that means is I'm the doofus walking around these gourmet stores with a shopping list, right? Because she sends me out to run the errands, and I did that all day today. But we are prepping up and getting ready for the big shindig tomorrow. So Rita is not with us tonight. She is not here in Burbank at the bunker. She's back at the house getting ready, and maybe she'll pop in on Twitter at some point, but I kind of doubt it. She's been working really hard the last 2 nights getting ready for all of that. All right, so that being said, let's get this show cracking. Happy birthday to today, one of my favorites. You all know Tom Hardy today is 39. And did you see the movie Legend? Have you guys peeped that out yet? If you haven't, go and I don't know where you can get it. I'm sure it's probably on Netflix, but or Amazon Prime or whatever. But go and watch that movie Legend, because he plays brothers Reggie and Ron Cray, the mafia dudes from the 60s, and it's a true story. And after I saw the movie, I went and did my studying on Reggie and Ron Cray, and 2 of the creepiest, gnarliest dudes like ever in the history of London. And kind of cool, too, in a weird way. But that movie Legend was amazing. Tom Hardy played both in the movie. He was also great in Child 44, another movie that kind of ran under the radar. But one of my favorite movies all time, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. He was amazing. But the best, besides Layer Cake, he was good in Layer Cake too, but playing Handsome Bob in Rock and Rolla. Yeah, great movie. Oliver Stone today is 70, and his newest film, Snowden, has been released. Rave reviews. There you go. New movie out called Snowden. I got to get Oliver on this show. I've got some direct connects to Oliver. I think I'm gonna go ahead and pull the trigger on that one and get Oliver Stone on. On this day in history, 1954, it went down. Marilyn Monroe did that famous skirt scene. It was filmed on this day in 1954. Fader fact. Just to add to the 9/11 conspiracy theories, Jackie Chan was scheduled to be on top of the World Trade Center on the morning of 9/11 to shoot a movie. But the screenwriter failed to deliver the script on time. Makes you want to go, interesting. Throw that in, Dr. Wood. Put that one in. Put that one on your list. Put that one on your list. Tonight is Open Lines. It is Fader Night. We have Jon Rappoport here with his No More Fake Newsroom. Now, as I start to get things started here, everybody knows that this is not a political show. The only politics that we get involved with here is the politics of Starbucks French Roast, which I'm sipping now. Lots of politics there. and the conspiracy of politics. And I've been watching House of Cards. We've been on a binge, just finished season 4. And in watching that, which is it's really well written, it's dark, it's a well written thing, but it causes you to stop and think. And certainly as we go through this election cycle, and House of Cards will kind of trip you out with everything that's going on. And then Newsweek came out with this article, which and it's long, and I went and read through it, and I was just as I started to read that, I think that the guy that wrote that, well, there was a few people, but must have been watching House of Cards, binge watching with me, because the questions that were raised in the article were some of the questions that I've had over the last couple of weeks, which is this: with Trump. Now, look, again, I'm not bashing on Trump at all, okay? And I don't think Newsweek was either. And I'm not bashing on Hillary either, and I'm not approving of either of them, okay? I'm objective, I'm in the middle, but I don't like either, right? Either. But the problem that we all have, if Trump gets elected, even if he doesn't get elected, there are problems. And this is what they are. It's his worldwide business dealings at a pretty severe level. And in his worldwide business dealings, he's not really building stuff anymore. He hasn't, I'll get to that in a second. He's not. What he has been doing around the world with different countries and large corporations and developments going on inside of those countries is he sells his name. That's what he's doing. Sells his name. Okay, you want to build a building? Sure, we'll franchise my name to you. And it costs X amount of millions of dollars if you want to do that. And that's basically where his money comes from. A lot of other areas, but the large chunk of what he does now, he doesn't really build. He just sells his name. And that's been going on since The Apprentice, since he became really famous. And that's it. But it gets really, really complicated, because if Trump is elected president, will he and his family permanently sever all connections to the Trump Organization, which is his sprawling business empire that has spread a total secretive financial web across the world? Will they stop? Or will Trump instead choose to be the most conflicted president in American history, whose business interest will constantly jeopardize the security of the United States? And these are the questions that we have to ask ourselves, because these are real. We've never quite experienced this before. Throughout his campaign, the Trump Organization, which pumps potentially hundreds of millions of dollars into the Trump family's bank accounts each year, right? This organization has been largely ignored. And as a private enterprise, its businesses, its partners, and its investors are hidden from public view, even though they are the very people who could be enriched by or will further enrich Trump and his family if he wins the presidency. And a close examination by Newsweek of the Trump Organization, including confidential interviews with business executives and some of its international partners, reveals an enterprise with deep ties to global financiers, foreign politicians, and even criminals. Although there is no evidence that the Trump Organization has engaged in any illegal activities, there's none of that there. But it also reveals a web of contractual entanglements that cannot just be canceled if he's elected president. If Trump moves into the White House and his family continues to receive any benefit from the company during or even after his presidency, almost every foreign policy decision he makes will raise serious conflicts of interest and ethical quagmires. Now, we need to stop and really think about how complex this is. And with a sitting president, these complex deals that could go into bankruptcy, lawsuits, unhappy people. And this reflects directly back at the Oval Office. If he is elected, lawsuits and problems and other business dealings, how does this happen? Or does he just back off and sever all ties with everything? Right? To me, and if I was Trump, I would do the same thing, by the way. You want to get bigger, you want to get stronger, and you're in his position, man, run for presidency. Why not? Run for the president because your global ties get stronger. And when you leave office, you're going to be in a much stronger position globally with this enterprise that you're running than you were before. Why not? It's a good business play. It's a good money play. I'd do it if I could. The Trump Organization is not like the Bill, Hillary, and Chelsea Clinton Foundation. That's a charitable enterprise that has been the subject of intense scrutiny about possible conflicts for the Democratic presidential nominee, and I get that also, too, as well. There are allegations that Hillary bestowed benefits to contributors to the foundation in some sort of pay-to-play scandal when she was Secretary of State. But to me, that makes no sense because there was no pay. There was no money. The money contributed to the foundation was publicly disclosed and went to charitable efforts such as fighting tropical diseases and so forth. The financials audited by PricewaterhouseCoopers, the foundation's tax filings, show that about 90% of the money it raised went to its charitable programs. And again, I'm not bagging on either here. The Trump Organization is different. This is a money-making endeavor, and it's private. Okay? Trump surrogates have falsely claimed that it was only 10% and that the rest was used as a Clinton slush fund, and that turned out to be false. No member of the Clinton family received any cash from the foundation. But that's different. The Trump Organization, on the other hand, rakes in untold millions of dollars every single year. Much of that comes from deals with international financiers and developers, many of whom have been tied to controversial and even illegal activities. None of Trump's overseas contractual business relationships examined in this were revealed in his campaign's financial filings with the Federal Election Commission, nor was the amount paid to him by his foreign partners. The Trump campaign did not respond to any request to the Newsweek article, but Trump's financial filings also indicate that he is a shareholder or a beneficiary of several overseas entities, including Excel Venture LLC in the French West Indies and Carabusiness Investments SRL based in the Dominican Republic, one of the world's many tax havens. And we know what happened in Great Britain when some of this stuff was revealed, that not only politicians, but a couple of stars, too, as well, in Great Britain had money hidden overseas. And when you go and do stuff like that, now it makes you wonder if you are hiding something. Okay? Now, that's one of the reasons why he cannot reveal his tax returns. And again, I understand he doesn't want anybody to see it, because it's complex and it goes back a long ways, and it may show that he's not worth this $10 billion he's talking about, or $15 billion, that maybe he's telling the IRS he's worth $100,000 because he's written off everything and all of his money is overseas. And that's where things, for me, get a little bit complicated, because you're dealing with big money, big banks, the Rothschilds, the cabal, and the Federal Reserve, and this is large amounts of money that is in a shell game all around the world. And so for somebody that wants to be the president of the United States, where transparency is everything, and one of the traditions over the years is to reveal your tax returns and show them to everybody that you're not running and hiding and everything is on the up and up and you're paying your own share and so forth. That's a problem for Trump, and it would be a problem for anybody. It'd be a problem for me, for you. I think that was one of the reasons why Howard Stern didn't run for governor. Remember that? Well, he had to do that full disclosure of his tax. He's like, dude, I'm not going to do that. And you've got to be prepared to do something like that. That's why Bernie Sanders was such a hero, because he showed in his tax returns that he was broke, didn't own anything, had no financial responsibilities, and he paid his fair share of taxes on his whatever he was making at the time, $100,000 a year, whatever. So anyway, but when it comes to Trump, he's got dealings all over the world with countries that conflict with America's national security interest. And they can't be resolved as long as he or any family member maintains a financial interest in the Trump organization during a Trump administration. And if you stop and think about it in those terms, would decisions, international, even national decisions, be made based on his business dealings? How could they not? I mean, how could they not? I would. You know, that's it. I mean, you know, politicians are corrupt. They're all corrupt, and they're all doing stuff like this. They all are. But we've never had anybody in a position like this, like Donald Trump, that, you know, everything that is done, and international trade and the value of currencies that are being traded in the stock market and everything, every decision that you make is potentially going to affect you and your family and your company. So how do you separate yourself from that? You can't. The Trump organization cannot be placed into a blind trust, an arrangement used by many politicians to prevent them from knowing their financial interests. You can't do it. The Trump family is already aware of who their overseas partners are and could easily learn about any new ones. It's just the way that it is. And I get that. I'm not complaining here. I'm saying that we have never had this problem in front of us. You know, what do we do about it? We can't ignore it, or are we just going to choose to ignore it? You know, the mass media has really, really done their best to not bring up the biggest question of all. The dude has got a lot of money, and he's got business arrangements with just about every country on planet Earth. Many foreign governments retain close ties to and even control of companies in their country, including several that already are partnered with the Trump organization. Any government wanting to seek future influence with President Trump could do so by arranging for a partnership with the Trump organization. How about that? Feeding money directly into the family, or simply stashing it away inside the company for their use once Trump is out of office. This is why, without a permanent departure of the entire Trump family from their company, the prospect of legal bribery by overseas powers seeking to influence American foreign policy, either through existing or future partnerships, will remain a reality throughout a Trump presidency. Now, there's a couple of other points I need to make here, and I'm going to do this throughout the show tonight, because I just need us to think. That's all. Just to think. The problem of overseas conflicts emerges from the nature of Trump's business in recent years. I had mentioned earlier, much of the public believes Trump is a hugely successful developer, a television personality, and a failed casino operator. But his primary business deals for almost a decade have been quite different. The nominee is essentially a licensor who leverages his celebrity into streams of cash from partners from all over the world. The business model for Trump's company started to change with The Apprentice back in 2007, like I mentioned earlier. Rather than constructing Trump's own hotels, office towers, and other buildings of his business involves striking deals with overseas developers. Now, it's them paying his company for the right to slap his name on their buildings. That's his business model today, and there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing. But he's got deals right now in Russia, Ukraine, Vietnam, Thailand, Argentina, Turkey, everywhere. He's got deals everywhere right now. And when I say that, I am not kidding. The idea of selling the Trump brand name to overseas developers emerged as a small piece of the company's business in the late 1990s. Today, it's nearly all of it. At that time, two executives from Daewoo Engineering and Construction met with Trump at his Manhattan offices to propose paying him for the right to use his name on a new complex under development. Now, according to former executives, this is exactly how it went down. Shortly after the deal was signed, the parent company of Daewoo Engineering and Construction, the Daewoo Group, collapsed into bankruptcy amid allegations of what proved to be a $43 billion accounting fraud scam. The chairman of the Daewoo Group, Kim Woo-chung, fled to North Korea. He returned in 2005, fled to North Korea, by the way. He went north. He returned in 2005, and he was arrested and convicted of embezzlement and sentenced to 10 years in prison. Now, according to the Daewoo executives, a reorganization of Daewoo after its bankruptcy required revisions in the Trump contract. But the Trump organization still remains allied to Daewoo Engineering and Construction. And this is where it gets funky. This relationship puts Trump's foreign policies in conflict with his financial interests. Earlier this year, he said South Korea should plan to shoulder its own military defense rather than relying on the United States, including the development of nuclear weapons. Right? You remember that. One of the primary South Korean companies involved in nuclear energy, a key component in weapons development, I might add, is Trump's partner Daewoo Engineering and Construction. That's right. They would potentially get an economic windfall if the United States adopted policies advocated by Trump and the nuclear weapons development. Now, how interesting is that? Now, when I say I don't talk politics, I don't. But the conspiracy of politics, oh, man. And this is an example. We've got to take a close look at all of this. You know, he goes and makes this offhanded remark about Japan having to arm itself and its own nuclear weapons and Korea. And then you turn around and find out that this is actually what's going on in the background. And he can't claim that he didn't know. You know, it was such a crazy remark to say, had us all scratching our heads. Dude, what are you saying? What are you suggesting here? And then you find out something like this. I've got a few more things that I'm going to talk about throughout the show tonight because it's the conspiracy of politics. Has nothing to do with Trump. I would be doing everything that Trump is doing right now. If I could, if I was the Donald, I'd be doing the same thing. It's called business. And now he wants to run for president. So we've got a problem here. And everything that he does, we need to now probably go back and scrutinize. Is he going to make an international political move and decision? And is his family directly going to profit on it? And possibly even himself directly. Because after he leaves office, he still owns it. Is he going to separate himself now and then as soon as he leaves office, he's back on the payroll? I would. That's what you do. It's a family-owned company. So does everything get scrutinized? I'm just saying. That is the conspiracy of politics. And you always need to think about what is really going on. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Not a political show, but you gotta love the conspiracy. Tonight is Thursday. It's Fadernight. It's open lines. Jon Rappoport and his No More Fake Newsroom are up next, followed by your phone calls all night long. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I'll be right back with Jon Rappoport. Stay right there.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. What's up, revolutionaries? It's me, Jimmy Church. Do you have an IRS or state tax issue?
Well, I did, and I called national tax experts. My problems were fixed, done, fini, and man, I got to tell you, it was a relief. National Tax Experts are a recognized tax office that services clients in all 50 states. It doesn't matter where you live. Give them a call. I'm telling you, they take the time to understand each and every client's individual financial status as well as their financial goals. And that's exactly what you need, my brother, when you're taking on the evil 3-letter. So, seriously, give them a call today at 1-877-909-5444. Again, 1-877-909-5444. Or go check out their website, www.nattaxexperts.com. That's NATTAXEXPERTS.com. Tell them Jimmy sent you.
Hi, folks. In a world of GMO, genetically modified organisms, that is, chemicals, processed foods, and a healthcare system that's unraveling like a cheap suit, it's time to prepare. God created herbs, and herbs help man. Our body can heal itself, just sometimes we need assistance. You need some help? GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. Our mild detox is quite powerful with its unique blend of 8 different herbs. And if you're looking for more, our non-GMO supplements will help you with different needs you might have. Health should be a top priority. Take care of your health naturally. Log on to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. Give your body a treat. Let the herbs do their thing naturally. Read all the testimonies on the website, GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. Sickness and viruses are like intruders, and herbs are like warriors. Let the tea work for you. That's GetTheTea.com.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Hi, this is Chase Klutsky with Fate Magazine Radio, and you're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station where the Fadernauts rock.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
And now, coming to you from the No More Fake newsroom in deep space, which is the space that we suspect to be true, that the world as it is fed to us every single day by the Ministry of Truth is a lie. A false reality, a movie projected on the screen of our subconscious. This, however, is the breakout. All of the screens crash. They all go down, and we see the light of day, a new day. No more robots, no more androids. It's the No More Fake newsroom with Jon Rappoport. Take it away, John.
Thank you, Jimmy. Well, folks, good evening, wherever you are. I was going to do something completely different, but after talking with Jimmy off air before the show, got to talk about the New Deal. Baby, the New Deal. Bayer Corporation is buying Monsanto Corporation for $66 billion. That's cash. It's the biggest cash corporate transaction takeover in history. $66 billion. Well, this alerted my attention for many reasons, among which in 1996, I started something called the Great Boycott of major chemical, GMO, and drug companies such as Dow, DuPont, Monsanto, Bayer, and several others. And now, by the way, it turns out that Dow and DuPont are planning to merge later, soon. So we're seeing massive consolidation. If you want to get a science fiction take on this, read a fabulous 1952 novel called The Space Merchants by Frederick Pohl and C.M. Kornbluth, where corporations literally run the world. Mega corporations run the world. So here's a little background that kind of spices things up. In 1999, Monsanto merged with a corporation called Pharmacia. Okay? In 2003, the drug giant Pfizer buys Pharmacia. So obviously, Pfizer and Monsanto are deeply in bed together. That adds another dimension to this whole stew. Because now we're talking about major amounts of drugs with Pfizer and Pharmacia, and Monsanto with its chemicals, pesticides, GMOs, some drugs. The thing that I wasn't aware of, and then of course now in 2016, to cap it all off, Bayer buys Monsanto. So now you have Bayer, Pfizer, Pharmacia, all, huge corporations in complex interwoven relationships that it would probably take 3 or 4 lawyers several days to explain the intricacies. But it is extremely ominous, extremely ominous. The one thing, or two things I wasn't aware of in 1996 when I started the Great Boycott. First, that Monsanto would go out there and dominate the seed industry, buying up all manner of seed companies to come closer to being an agricultural monopoly. And the other was that they would develop wide-ranging software systems to, quote, help farmers regulate their seasons of planting and this and that and so forth and get it down to a system. So that has happened as well. It's just monstrous. Now, we also have the fact that on the Bayer side of this $66 billion deal, one of the consultants happens to be no less than the Rothschild Group, which should raise several hundred red flags and start bells ringing all over the place and so on and so forth. Yes, on the European side, one of the consulting assisting groups is the Rothschild banking group. Okay, so where is this headed and what does it really mean? We have something called globalism. Well, this is the face of globalism, the corporate face of globalism, because the leading edge of the ship, the globalist ship, is corporations making inroads, assisted by intelligence agencies and armies sometimes, making inroads all over the world, in all countries, setting up factories, setting up experimental facilities, research facilities, and also gobbling up huge amounts of virtual slave labor, volunteers, in quotes, for clinical trials of pharmaceuticals, and also, of course, buying up huge amounts of land and controlling land. And in the case of these corporations that I'm talking about tonight, we're talking about converting gigantic swaths of farmland into GMO pesticide paradises. That is the face of globalism. Corporations run the world. And when they combine, as here, when they merge, when they take each other over, they come closer and closer to a monopoly. For example, 1/4 of the world market in seeds and pesticides for Bayer Monsanto now. 1/4 of the world market in seeds and pesticides. It's a big world, folks, and 25% is a lot, and we're talking about two corporations here. Now, we've got this thing called the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which is also quite relevant. I've talked about it before on the show. And one of the features of this treaty, which Obama is desperately trying to ratify from the American side, it involves a dozen countries that are responsible for some 40% of the global GDP. One of the things that the TPP features is corporate tribunals. I've mentioned this before. You've got to kind of wrap your brain around this one. When there are disputes among nations, let's say, for example, that the U.S., meaning Monsanto, wants to export GMO seeds, huge amounts of GMO seeds, so that some other country can plant them. And that other country says, wait a minute, we don't want these seeds because we don't believe in GMO. We think there's something wrong with it. And we especially don't like it because many of the GMO crops require more pesticide in order to survive. For example, Roundup containing glyphosate, which the World Health Organization has designated as a probable carcinogen causing cancer. And there are other studies on glyphosate which paint a very dim and toxic picture of this pesticide. So this other country says, no, we don't want it. Well, all of a sudden that triggers a corporate tribunal. And now we don't know who these men are, but they all represent mega corporations, and they gather by dint of this treaty, the TPP, to decide whether this other country has the right to refuse GMO seeds being sold by Monsanto. And inevitably, they will decide, no, it has no right. And if it continues to insist that it does, it could be fined billions of dollars. These are not national courts. They're not even international courts. Courts play no role in this. Regular judges play no role in this. This is a corporate tribunal. It's like creating another planet off to the side, you know. Yeah, we don't think we want to take this to... We don't want any courts anymore. We don't want any judges. We certainly don't want any juries. So let's do something different. Let's do a whole different kind of... Let's do a whole different kind of a scene where we just have corporate big shots sitting in a private room somewhere. No press, no public, no anybody. And on their own terms, they decide whether country A can sell GMO seeds or toxic pesticides or toxic pharmaceutical drugs or toxic industrial chemicals to another country, and whether that second country must accept it. So in a deal like this, where we now have Bayer taking over Monsanto and the two companies merging, the enormous clout that this combine will have at these corporate tribunals is increased by a factor of, you could say, 50%, 100%. It's actually more. It's shoring up control and power over decisions that affect the health and well-being of every person on the planet. Yeah, I think what we want to do here, boys, let's take over Monsanto, because then we as Bayer plus Monsanto can really make sure that these corporate tribunals make decisions that we want them to make. We're pretty good anyway. I mean, we're in good shape, but let's just button everything down tight here. That's what's going on one level. And on another level, Bayer Monsanto joining forces as one is representative of a huge pushback against the people who want to buy organic food, who are anti-GMO, and who are rejecting Monsanto's products, as well as Bayer's products, because Bayer itself is into all kinds of GMO pesticide research. Getting the picture there. In America, we don't quite see all of the rebellion that's happening around the world against corporations like Monsanto, where in some countries GMOs are banned outright. In other countries, it's a matter of mandatory labeling of GMO food products so that the consumer can decide. I believe it's now up to something on the verge of maybe 60 countries that have some kinds of laws limiting the access or the unlabeled access of GMOs. We don't hear much about that in America, for good reason. Because the press doesn't want us to find out about it. The press doesn't want to make Americans aware that there is an all-out rebellion happening around the world in many countries against Monsanto, GMOs, toxic pesticides. In fact, in the gigantic Zika hoax in Argentina, a pesticide was uncovered as being a much more likely cause of the birth defect called microcephaly happening there. It was a larvicide that was actually dumped in water supplies without the consent of the population. And when this was exposed, apparently there was no more dumping. So the powers that be, these corporate powers, have decided, look, we're getting a lot of resistance here. And this resistance, although it's not being trumpeted exactly in the mainstream press, it certainly is in the alternative press. And there are organizations around the world that are organizing rebellion, resistance against one of our own, primarily Monsanto. There was, in fact, out in Maui, and I've also discussed this, a vote, a referendum that won, stating that there should be no more GMO pesticide experimentation in the county of Maui by Monsanto and Dow until an independent investigation was done to see exactly what was going on and the toxicity and the health risk to the population. And at that point, the county of Maui government and Monsanto and Dow combined to sue against this ballot initiative that passed. And a federal judge ruled against the voters of Maui. And now it's been kicked up to the Ninth Circuit Court in the U.S. on appeal, and we won't know for a while what's going to happen there. So this rebellion all over the world for organic, for non-GMO, and against GMOs and against the toxic pesticides like Roundup has been gathering terrific steam for quite a while now. So it's only natural that you would see a couple of these corporations, Bayer, Monsanto, look, We want more power. We want more juice. We want more clout. We want more control. We want more monopoly over the world food supply, no matter what people say they want, no matter what national governments want. That's where the TPP comes in. So let's make a deal. And so Bayer finally says, okay, final offer, $66 billion in cash, and we're in. We're won. We win. And that's what happened. And now Dow and DuPont are going to do the same thing. And two big Canadian seed companies or pesticide companies are going to do the same thing. But this Dow and DuPont merger will be gigantic. And there was another one, Syngenta, a giant GMO pesticide seed company, finally was taken over and bought by ChemChina. So that's yet another one that's happened in the last several years. And we will see more mergers. And the other thing that you can look at is once DuPont and Dow merge, however that configuration goes, and now with Bayer and Monsanto together, even though they will be competing against each other, there will also be numerous areas of cooperation. But now, instead of cooperation between giants, it'll be cooperation between mega, zega giants. You know, the ante will go up because they want control, because they're bent on having control over the entire food supply of the planet. And that gets very political right away. Because one other aspect of globalism is the plan to bring the entire planet under a controlled economy, by which I mean central points of distribution of food for the global population in the interests of justice and equality and fairness and all of those kinds of, nice-sounding cliches.
A number of years ago, and I have to stay a little dark with this so I don't reveal who I'm talking about, but I went to go and buy a car, a collector car. And I met these two gentlemen, and they take me out to their family home, and I get there and I go up this driveway that I'm not joking, was like 2 miles long. I'm driving through these trees, and I pull out into this open area where the home is, and it's stupid, it's ridiculous. Log cabin mansion, I don't know, 20,000, 30,000 square feet, some ridiculous, stupid money, right? And, we're in billionaire status, which I had no idea about, right? And this kind of took me by surprise. So I go in and I was like, I wasn't asking any questions, but obviously there was Rothschild money here, right? Like stupid money. And they take me out, and on the property was 3 or 4 barns, big, large barns full of cars. And they take me through, and it was hundreds of cars, and just unbelievable car collection. And there was the car that I was there to purchase, and we pulled it out. We're looking at it. And later on, we go back into the house, and we were standing in the kitchen, and I just turned, me being, the dick that I can be, and I'm like, okay, where did this money come from, right? and the guy turns around, opens up a drawer in the kitchen, and pulls out a packet of seeds, like a package of Kool-Aid. You know what I'm talking about? Those flat seeds that you can buy at any store, flowers or whatever. And he throws it on the island in the middle of the kitchen, and he goes, that right there. And I said, what? And he goes, seeds. And I said, what?
Wow.
He goes, man, it's not in the crops. The real money is in seeds. And I, whatever. And I'm holding this thing, and it was a reality check for me like none other. So when I hear about Monsanto and seeds and the talk about seeds and controlling the world and everything else, I'm telling you, I had that experience that has never left me. And it was a real eye opener. Control the food. Yeah, okay. Control the seeds. And then you are really controlling the action.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. And the way these guys think is it's a done deal. It's all over. They do discuss the pushback and the rebellion and so forth, and they're very aware of it, and that's one of the reasons that you see these mega mergers happening.
Well, yeah.
But at the same time, they feel like, hey,
whatever.
It's in the bag. We got it.
Right,
it's
whatever. That's their attitude about this. And the other thing is this. They made sure that the shareholders are not going to turn it down because, Monsanto's stock yesterday was trading at $104, and they're offering $128 a share.
That's right.
Okay. Look at what a bond will get you. What, a half a point? A savings account's going to get you a quarter a point, whatever. The most best trading that you could ever do, and everybody in the world trades Apple stock. You know what I mean? So it's not like there's a big secret out there. Is going to return only so much money. But for you to turn $1.04 into $1.28, 104 into 128, so 25% profit on everything per share. And who's going to turn that down? They're not. It's a guaranteed deal. None of the shareholders are really going to complain about that kind of profit.
And here's another thing, which I alluded to, but just to give a little bit more detail. There's going to be pushback in different countries to this merger. Governments and allied groups are going to say, this is looking too much like a monopoly.
Right.
And you may have to shed some of your assets and subsidiaries to satisfy us to let you into our country, the new Bayer Monsanto. And that's the point at which these corporate tribunals would really take over once this Trans-Pacific Partnership, for example, is ratified, if it is ratified.
Right.
Where they can say, we don't care what you think. We're just going to hold a little private meeting of corporate heads and decide what you can do and what you can't do, and it's all over.
John,
and here's a little bit of some, you want some money on the side, fine.
Yep, I know. John, I got to thank you, man, for doing what you do, and our entire family here of listeners just cannot wait for Thursdays, and you are such a big part of what we do, and I just want to thank you, and I'll see you next Thursday.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you, John. NoMoreFakeNews.com. Jon Rappoport. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Thursday night, Fadernight, open lines next. 323-825-5045. Let's do this, man.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
Hello, I'm Peggy and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station.
Fadernauts. Things are never what they seem. For the past century, forbidden subjects such as UFOs, backward engineering, human abductions, secret space programs, underground bases, suppressed free energy devices, and other fantastic notions have tested the human mind, forcing it to decipher fact from fiction, chronicling what he calls the alternative narrative. author Brad Olson gets down to the middle of it all in his best-selling book, Future Esoteric, now released in a second edition by CCC Publishing. And now, you can get Future Esoteric at a special price, plus another free book by just using the promo code Jimmy when you check out. Just click on the Future Esoteric or CCC Publishing banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Go back, Lee Tepe.
Uncertainty has become the talking point when it comes to financial markets. One thing is becoming certain: safe haven assets. Hard assets are now becoming the choice of informed investors. The most recognized and valued hard asset is gold. The highest performing asset this year is gold. Trust gold to protect and grow your IRA or 401k. Central banks and billionaires are doing the same thing. Choose a more stable asset that has tremendous upside potential. As these uncertain times threaten the markets, your decision to reduce your exposure to these markets before further negative effects to your portfolio would be well timed. Call 1-800-GOLD-IRA to transfer your existing IRA into an actual physical gold and silver IRA. American Bullion is the pioneer of gold IRAs. They handle all the details for you. Call 1-800-GOLD-IRA to get prepared. Start protecting and growing your IRA and 401k before the next crash. American Bullion. 1-800-GOLD-IRA.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. We're of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And I'm Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. And you're listening to Jimmy Church. The Revolution.
What's up, Fadernauts? Studio Dome loves Fade to Black and the F2B audience so much that they have put together the ultimate stereo Bluetooth system. They've done it just for you. Man, check this out. The Studio Dome SBB2 stereo system is here. It's featuring 2 Studio Boombox 2 SBB2 wireless Bluetooth speakers, packed in its own custom hardshell case. This Studio Dome system features the very latest in stereo Bluetooth technology. The 2 full-range boomboxes are in true wireless stereo. You've got to hear this. It's amazing. It's just $129, and use the promo code JCRTWS, and you'll also get free shipping. It's simple. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner. Go back, Lee Tepe.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. All right, it's Thursday night. It's Fader night. Open lines all night long. 323-825-5045. Before I get to the calls, I want to remind everybody, this is what I want to talk about tonight. Do you think that somebody is really running things? As you look around your world, your world, and when you close in the world around you, I mean your direct things, your family, your friends, your boss, your coworkers, the people that you see at the store when you go shopping for food, the local business owner, your thing, your little universe. As you look around, take a look around and ask yourself, because everything is connected. Maybe you own a home. It doesn't matter. Maybe you rent. It doesn't matter. The rent that you are paying is going to somebody who owns the building that is paying a mortgage on that building to a big bank, and you are directly connected. You're 2 degrees of separation removed from the big boys. If you own a home, you're 1 degree closer to working directly with the man. You go to the supermarket and you buy food. That's supply chain. I'll give you one example really quick. And forget about the numbers. It's the idea here, okay? That 15 years ago, I'm just going to pull a number out of the air, but I know that I'm close on this. I'm going to use round numbers for you. 15 years ago, 100 private meat packing companies around the United States, privately owned, right? You can go to the supermarket and look, and there's some locally done thing done up with a company that you know, family owned, been in business for 50, 75 years, right there. You know how many there are today? 7. They're all gone. So when you look at the agrochem, agrocorp, food supply chain, it is just a handful of that controls everything across this country. Everything. And you have to look at it in those terms. And it doesn't matter if it's chicken farms, if it's a milk producing cow family thing, or if it's meat, or if it's corn or wheat, soybeans, strawberries, everything now is corporate owned. Everything. There are no exceptions. So you have that in your little world, right? In that little thing, that little cocoon of yours where you feel safe. And I get that. But it is being right out to not only the electricity that's coming in, the internet feed that you've got, to the DirecTV or cable system or whatever is feeding directly into you. You are 1 degree removed from the cabal, from somebody that is running the big stuff. There is nothing local, nothing independent. It doesn't exist. You have to fight for it. You have to go and search for it, but you're not going to find it with all the main things in life, right? You go and get a loan. Oh, we're a direct lender. We have our own money, right? No. They have a direct line of credit with a big bank, but that's it. It just doesn't exist anywhere in life now. So as you look around, when I talk about the conspiracy of things, that conspiracy is the new normal, you have to ask yourself what's really going on in your world. That's where the questions start to arise. It's nearly impossible today to cut yourself off. If you want to stay in society somehow and live, you're there. You're part of the system. And the only way that you could possibly disconnect from all of that is go and buy a couple of acres up in Montana, move into the woods and build a log cabin and burn candles. But that's it. Everything else, and grow your own food in the backyard. And, your own chickens and a couple of cows, a couple of pigs. But that's it. Everything else, when you look around yourself, it is 1984. So I want you to think about that when you call in tonight. All right, let's go to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black.
Hello, it's Bill in Missouri.
Hey, Bill, what's cracking?
Hey, what do you think about the constitutional carry?
I can barely hear you, Bill.
Okay, let me move a little bit here.
Well, okay, just ask the question again. What is it?
What do you think about the constitutional carry of firearms?
Well, I mean, what about it? I mean, what do I think about concealed carry?
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. Only some states are passing a law where they're allowing people to have it without having to register as a concealed carry holder.
Well, man, it is such a bizarre thing, not only to ask me, but to ask anybody, because it's a tough question to answer. Because if we go back to what our founding fathers intended, what did they intend with the right to bear arms? What was the intention? I can tell you that the flavor of it, the spirit of that, was to make sure that we kept the government in check. So the government knew that the civilians were armed, and probably, especially back then in 1776, that the population here was much, much bigger than any armed army, federal situation that we had at that time. So the control was in with the people. Now, that to me, and I could be way off base here, but I don't think that I am. I think that was the original spirit of it, the right to bear arms, because, I forget the exact wording, a well-armed militia, I think, something similar to that.
Hey, let me tell you something on militia. Militia included anybody who was like 18 years or older who, if you're a citizen, you're part of the militia.
Well, again, Bill, that's getting away from the point of it. But yes, because we can go on and on and on and on with the details. But because that was the point, was to make sure that we were ready in case of other things around the world. We had other issues with other countries, not only that going on, but also what was going on in the United States. So before we get out of control with this conversation, let's just stay on the main point here, which is...
Can I tell you what happened in Missouri?
I've got 20 calls on hold here, Bill.
I can make it quick.
Okay. I mean, you wanted me to answer the one question. Do you want to move on?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to tell you what happened in Missouri.
Okay, quickly. Go ahead.
They passed Senate Bill 656, which gave the citizens the right to carry arms everywhere, the same as concealed carry holders have. Now, that means we have the right to protect ourselves. And it's in public and on your own private property, and also with, they call it castle doctrine, which is, let's say you got a babysitter in your home.
Yes.
Taking care of your kids.
Yes.
He can protect your children.
Yes, I understand that.
Deadly force.
Yes, I understand that.
Protect your children with deadly force.
Yeah, but
and Missouri is like one of 11 states that passed that. So,
right.
There you go.
Yeah, and I don't have a problem with that. And when we and Bill, again, thank you for the phone call. When it is decided at the state level instead of a federal mandate, I like that. That feels better to me, because we have different parts of the country with different attitudes, different cultures, and so forth. And when you decide that at the state and even the local level, I like that better. If that's what they want to do in Missouri, fine. The laws in Texas, I think, are some of the best for this too, as well. And when we look at it in those terms, when we talk about, what is legal in Texas and what you can do there and versus other states, well, that's decided at the local level and the state level, and I'm okay with that. Now, going back to this whole Second Amendment issue, when it comes to concealed carry and issues like that, what I have a problem with is, and I don't want to sound liberal. I don't want to sound too far to the right. I don't want to do that. I want to do what everybody is thinking. That's what we're all concerned with, and that is, quite simply, you want to know. I would, especially if I'm walking around in a public place with my kids, or inside of a restaurant or a movie theater with my kids. I don't care if somebody's armed. I just want to know that they are armed. So stuff being stashed in a backpack, underneath a shirt, concealed carry, something on somebody's sock, and no regulations with that. That's where I get a little bit uncomfortable, because I want to know what's going on. That's all. And if I see a couple of women walking up the street and they're both holstered, and they've got a couple of Glocks on their hip, cool. All right. I don't have a problem with. I really don't. I could care less, because I know what's going on. But the whole concealed situation, but again, if it's decided at the local and state level and they feel that that's okay, that's what voting people in and out of office is there for. So Second Amendment's never going anywhere, no matter what goes on. And that will never, ever, 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 I'm telling you, they say never, no, I'm telling you right now, never say never, I'm telling you, it will never change. And proud of it. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black.
Hi, it's Dino tonight, and I'm calling in early. We could go, everybody's heard all the sides of the gun thing, so I don't want to go there right now. But the cabal, I was dragged kicking and screaming until recent years into believing that it was all under one roof. I mean, let's look at some of the things. I always thought, the banks have you. I mean, I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but I've had trouble with a mortgage, even with perfect credit and good history, blah, 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 blah. And even after 2008 and the bankers not being thrown in jail and we bailed them out, and to this day, every year I try and say, why don't you lower my interest rate? I won't tell you what it is, but it's they gave it to me in the depths of the Depression when I bought a place. But I constantly am checked out, and I am told everything checks out. Your house is worth more, blah, blah, blah. You've done this, you've done that, you have excellent credit. But I said, well, why won't you lower my interest rate on my mortgage? You don't make enough money.
Well, okay.
Now, and I've actually talked to my congressmen and senators and such, and they're not going to do anything about it. So this all goes to the fact that it's not just the money and the bankers. And what you mentioned about meat packing, my father used to have a small cattle ranch, and I remember what it was like. And they had auctions every Saturday in every small town. And now everything seems to be congealed, conglomerated, and put into monopolies. I mean, they're not monopolies, some of them. They're oligarchies of corporations, of government.
Well, now, I get that, but what's your point, Dino?
Well, you asked about cabal and how it is. I think these things are all connected. Now, when I ran for political office one time, I never thought I would, but I happened to run for office one time because I knew what I was talking about. I knew my area. People said you should try. And, I only raised a few $1,000s, but people believed in me. I got a fair amount of votes so that I didn't embarrass myself. But the person who won against me had been in my community 2 years, no offense, but from Southern California, didn't really know things, was appointed, and raised $245,000, because you have to report how much you raise, and not even from my community.
Yeah.
So when you look at this, when you look at the real estate interests, the banks, the corporations, I mean, the Monsanto Bayer thing, I mean, this really upsets me. You've got to go back that it's not a conspiracy of dreams or crazy people. I'm reading Brad Olson's book, by the way. He signed the book and gave me it because of your commercial. I know a lot of what's in it, but he does tie it together. And that's what's going on when you've got banks, you've got your drugs, you've got your food that's being produced. You've got, like you said, you can't go anywhere. And I've always thought I'm not a paranoid person. I can worry sometimes. But I know that I even had trouble on a job last year. And have you ever been around someone? I mean, you're a friendly guy. I'm a friendly guy. I'm really kind to strangers, even if they're not going to do anything for me. So I don't have any ulterior motives. But every so often, Jimmy, have you ever met someone, as soon as they meet you or they act like they're pissed off or that you're beneath them? And this has happened only a few times, and it's usually people who are in positions of power, and I meet them somehow, and they immediately, you can just tell by their attitude, they don't like me.
Right.
This makes me believe that these are people that are connected or think they're connected to the power structure at the top of the pyramid.
Well, you got to stop wearing hemp pants. That'll get you through. Hey, Dino, thank you for the phone call, man. And
I wouldn't
be
have
safe
bought
out
them if
there.
you hadn't sent me to the expo.
I'll talk. All right, Dino, thank you, brother.
All right, good night.
Let's stay right on the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black right now.
Hey, Jimmy.
Yes.
Oh, let me turn down my background here. Hi, this is Rick Quest in Burbank.
How are you?
Good. I wanted to bring up a couple of things real quick. I was at the Contact in the Desert, met all you people, had a wonderful time. Do you know what they're doing with the DVDs this year? Are they available like they were in the past?
I don't know. I I mean, I haven't looked into it at all.
Yeah, I haven't been able to find a website that to get those.
Yeah, okay. I mean,
I'll keep searching.
I mean, it's contactinthedesert.com, and I think that right now they're prepping the new website for 2017. So I think the old website's been down for a day or two until they launch the new one. But I
thought they were going to make those available to everyone that attended.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. Great question, though. I just don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if I was I would know, Rick, if I was into watching DVDs of myself. And I was out there looking for them, but I haven't been looking for the DVDs, so...
I had to go out and buy a lot of books and get them autographed, and I need these DVDs to complete my collection.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, if I find anything out, I'll let you know. I'll announce it on the air.
Okay. Hey, I got another quick question.
Sure.
How come I'm hearing
Okay, that's another caller on hold in the background.
Okay.
Yeah, they should turn down, if they can hear us, just turn us down. They're on hold. Okay, go ahead.
Maybe a month ago, I saw a really good time travelers movie with you in it on the History Channel.
Uh-huh.
And is that going to be a series? Can you discuss that, or is that just a one-time deal?
Man, you live in Burbank. You know, even if it, I can't talk about that stuff.
So
you know, show
that as a yes.
No. Don't take that the wrong way. I honestly, or the right way for that matter. That stuff is way above my pay grade. I know I'm the guy in the show and stuff, and you would think that I would know everything. I don't. So there you go. I don't know what they have.
Well, it was cool, and that 60 Minutes really hooked me on that, and I wanted to see more on that.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to do, and I thought that I still do. I think the idea for the show is really cool, and it can go a lot of places. But again, it's so when it comes to network television and how they work those deals in those smoky back rooms, you know what I mean? I can never guess or second guess. I'm just along for the ride.
Yeah.
But it was a cool show. It visually was really cool, and they allowed me to speak my piece and to give my opinions on my theories, and they didn't hold me back or tell me what to do or say, and that to me was really cool and was really fun. So, I appreciate you enjoying the show, because the one thing that I got out of it, I only watched it once, but the thing that I got out of it was they didn't edit me. Exactly what I said was what I meant, and I think that came through. So thank you for enjoying it.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
All right,
Take
Rick.
care.
You have a great night.
Yeah.
Hi, you're live on Fade to Black.
Yeah, hello. It's my turn?
Yes, you're up.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Fred. I'm from Montreal.
Hi, Fred from Montreal.
Yeah. Hi. So really quickly, you asked a question: who's running all things? And look, I'm not an expert on the subject and all, but I think by listening to David Icke, I think these decisions are being made by off-world beings.
Yeah, could no doubt.
I think so. The banks are probably run by a bunch of human beings, but who do they answer to, and who gave them the orders? I think it's a bunch of I'm not sure, reptilians maybe,
Could
but
be.
I think it's a bunch of dudes from other planet that tells them what to do.
Or there could be a bunch of
they have a big
could be a bunch of dudes from Jean-Pierre. What do you think about that?
Jean-Pierre, yeah,
see,
right.
you get my
Next
joke.
door to here, yeah.
You get my joke.
Yeah.
Now, how many radio show hosts, right, can you call up and they drop a Jean-Pierre joke on you and you get it? What are the odds
Jimmy,
of that?
you're the only one. You're the only one on the planet that can do that.
Hey, is the La Montagne, the big hotel downtown, is it still there?
Yeah, you asked me that when I called in last year.
I remember that.
Yeah, I never stayed there myself because I got my own place in Montreal,
Right.
But, it's an expensive, I think the Rolling Stones, when they come by at the Bell Center, I think that's where they stay.
Yeah. They probably take the top 20 floors, but...
Oh, something, yeah.
The one thing that I remember, I think you and I talked about this last year or a couple of years ago, but down below the hotel, right in the middle of the lobby, there's a set of stairs, right? And I never noticed the stairs, but they're going down. And my buddy Andy, who lives up there too as well, right outside of Montreal. So he goes, we're going to go to this nightclub. And I said, okay. And he says, I'll see you out here in the hallway in 10 minutes. We were up on like the 30th floor, 40th floor, way up on the top. And so 10 minutes later, we walk out, and I got it's January. So I got my winter coat on, my scarf, my hat, my gloves, my boots. And he's got short sleeve shirt on, And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He goes, what are you doing? I said, I thought we were going out. And he goes, we are. It's below ground. I said, what? Yeah. So I go back in and take off my coat, my gloves, and everything. We walk out in our short sleeves. It's minus 20, outside. And we go down into the lobby to those stairs that I saw, and we went underground down a couple of... You know what I'm talking about. And
I can spend a whole day. Actually, I think Ukate. It's one of the biggest underground complexes in North America.
It's crazy. We talk about underground cities, right? Montreal has an underground city, and I know. We go down to this nightclub.
I just get out of my apartment with a jean jacket. It's probably minus 15. I live 5 minutes from the subway. I just run to the subway, and then I get into the downtown area, and I spend the whole day just underground. And
never go.
You never go. There's movies. And everything's there.
Yeah, you don't go up and get into the snow unless you have to. Other than that, everything is underground, man. It is crazy. Hey,
I know. They have a map, and I actually got lost. I had to ask a security guard how to get out of there because I got lost.
I did the same thing. I was like, man. All right. Hey, thank you for the phone call.
Hey, look, we're really quickly, Jimmy. Something's bothering me, all right? Look, you got Stephen Greer, who says that we did win on the moon.
Right.
But then you got John Lear that you had on your show.
Right.
It was a really good show with John Lear. That was an unbelievable show. And he says that the whole Apollo program was a hoax, that we didn't go on the moon.
Right.
I mean, these two guys are really, they know their stuff. Dr. Stephen Greer, he knows what he's talking about. He says we win, but then John Lear says that we didn't.
Oh, and I
mean, with everything that I read and listened, I can't believe I'm still asking myself the question, did we went to the moon or not?
That's exactly why you listen to the show, so we can collect all of that information. Thank you so much.
What do you think? Did we win or not?
Okay, I'll answer that after the break. How's that?
Okay, all right. Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you, Mark. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That opens up the international line. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. It's open lines. It's Thursday, 323-825-5045. I'll be right back.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Attention CPAP users. Stop the insanity and torture of your CPAP mask. Don't you hate the skin irritation and terrible leaks? Jump on the CPAP Pro train, invented by an actual CPAP user that became so frustrated with CPAP masks. Are you ready to try something new? With absolutely no straps or headgear? Go to nomask.com and get the best night's sleep ever. Free to Medicare patients. Go to nomask.com. That's NOMASK.com.
If your home has hard water, then it's likely that limescale is clogging your pipes, damaging your appliances, costing you hundreds of dollars each year. You can eliminate limescale in the entire house with HydroCare products available at Wave Home Solutions. Easy and efficient with no maintenance, no salts, no chemicals, and no coils. And you can buy with confidence from Wave Home Solutions. Performance guaranteed. Just go to bestwater411.com. That's bestwater411.com.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Work with your doctor when taking medications. Make Protovite part of your healthy lifestyle.
HealthForLiberty.com is your source for Protovite, a powerful nutritional supplement that's a true breakthrough for your health. Poor digestion makes it nearly impossible to absorb the nutrition your body needs. Protovite is a liquid multi-nutrient formula with patent-pending absorption technology and the highest quality ingredients to nourish every cell in your body.
My name is Sandra White. 6 weeks ago, when I started taking Protovite, I was on 14 medications, from everything for blood pressure to fibromyalgia. In the first 10 days, my blood sugar dropped 50 points, and my fibromyalgia pain is gone. And so was 12 of the 14 medications that I was taking. I'm 66, living life and loving it.
Go to healthforliberty.com right now. That's healthforliberty.com.
Thank you, Protovite, for giving my life back.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
All right, back. Fade to Black. Open lines, 323-825-5045. As you look around you in your life, who is really running things? You have to ask yourself that question. Taking your calls right now, 323-825-5045. Mark from Montreal brought up a really good point. We talk about underground bases and cities all the time. We were talking about Denver International last night, and amongst other things. And I completely forgot about Montreal. A little bit with Toronto, too. It's not quite as extreme. But Montreal, man, is it is the Montreal that is above ground is a facade. I'm serious, too. Everything there in downtown is underground. The whole city. And during the winter, when you have, 10 feet of snow outside, everything is buried, and it's really cold in Montreal. In fact, it's only like above 60 degrees a month a year. No joke. And before anybody from Canada calls or Montreal calls, no, dude, it's actually warmer than that. No, it's not. Okay, forget about it. But when I went, and I've been to Montreal a few times. When I went underground there, and it's the first time was the mind-blowing experience. These tunnels and stairways up and down, and they just take off. And he's right. I got lost there one night. I got lost. I couldn't get my way back underground. And I remember one day we were down underground having breakfast. And this really nice coffee shop thing underground. A couple of stories, man, down underground, and it's totally cool. And it feels like you're above ground. It's totally above ground, but you're underground. And I was looking out the door, and I turned to my friend. I go, "Now, where was the nightclub?" And he goes, "Well, it was up one level, but down that way." I was like, "Man, this is crazy." And this nightclub that we were in, and anybody from Montreal can call in and tell me, I doubt it's still there. It's probably there under another name, but I think it was called like Thursdays or something. And it was a humongo nightclub. DJs, dance floor, bars, big, underground, deep underground. And there you go. And if you want evidence of, something like this existing, I'll from now on, I'm going to go, well, you got Montreal, don't you? It exists. It's underground. And they did it. I think this is what my memory tells me. Somebody from Montreal said, look, man, we just figured out a long time ago. It's during the winter. You survive underground. We don't want to be above ground in the winter. I don't even think they shovel the sidewalks in downtown, and they gave up on that. During the winter, everything moves underground. It's a trip. It's a trip, man. You don't see anybody outside above ground during the winter in Montreal, man. Everybody's indoors and underground. So now, okay, 323-825-5045. Moving on. Talking about the conspiracies of Trump and what we should be taking a look at. What I find strange here is that nobody knowing who Trump was, and again, I don't hold anything against him for being a businessman and doing what he's doing, because I would do the same thing. Everything that Trump's doing, if I could do it, I would do it. But to have somebody like him in the potential position of president of the United States, why Congress just didn't sit him down and ask him questions about his financial dealings and how they would be separated from his decisions in the Oval Office. How do you sever those ties? How do you separate the two? How do you not consciously make a decision that would hurt your family and hurt your company because you had to go and do something else, right? Now, is that a conflict of interest? Or improve your family because you're going to make a decision? Is that a conflict of interest? And it's not just, if it was just one company somewhere that he had in Japan or in South Africa or in the UK or Scotland or whatever, that's one thing. But he's got his finger in so many pies that not only our security interests come into play here, because they do, and I'll give you another example, or a financial decision. And this nuclear thing with South Korea, that's a trippy thing to have in the background when he made such a blatant remark up front that none of us understood. Then you find out that he's got financial ties with the nuclear side of things in South Korea. It just makes you go, wait a minute. Now, Trump signed an agreement in 2011 with an Indian company in India with a property developer called Rohan Lifescapes that wanted to construct a 65-story building with his name on it. Leading the talks for Rohan was one Kalpesh Mehta, a director of the company who would later become the exclusive representative of Trump's businesses in India. However, government regulatory hurdles soon impeded the project, and it got derailed. Trump Jr. flies to India, and he flew there to plead with Prithviraj Chavan, Chief Minister of Maharashtra state in Western India. And he was asking that he remove those hurdles. But the powerful politician refused to make an exemption for the Trump organization. And it would be extremely difficult now, if you think about it, for a foreign politician to make that same call if he were speaking to the son of the President of the United States. Right? Think about that. Same situation, just advance it 6 months. Trump is now sitting in the Oval Office. Donald Jr. flies to India, meets with the same politician, and says the same thing where previously the politician said no. Right? But now he's dealing with the son of the President of the United States. Now, it's a difficult decision to make. And obviously now it's more complicated, but the question is, would the same decision be made? Think about that. And to further complicate things, that Mumbai deal with Rohan fell apart in 2013. But a new branding deal, which is called Trump Tower Mumbai, was struck with the Lodha Group, a major Indian developer. By that time, Trump had an Indian project underway in the city of Pune with a large developer called Panchil Realty that agreed to pay millions for the use of the Trump brand on not one but two 22-floor towers. Last month, during the campaign, a scandal erupted over the development, which is now called Trump Towers Pune, after the state government and local police started looking into the discrepancies in the land records, suggesting that the land on which the building was constructed with Trump's name on both of them had not been legally obtained and purchased. Now, we're talking about the president or the potential president of the United States. And what if he is elected? Now we've got some serious issues going down. I don't know what to make of all of it, but nobody has talked about this. And you would have thought that when the RNC had to start making considerations about what is going on, that they would sit him down and go, dude, okay, full disclosure here. What is really going on? What are the ties that you have internationally? And are these potentially going to complicate things? And how are you going to remove yourself and sever yourself from a privately held company that your name is on? And the first and foremost consideration here, again, I'm not Trump bashing. I'm just putting these questions out there because nobody's going to ask them, which is this. You're going to be sitting in the Oval Office, President Trump, and your name has been potentially tarnished around the world. So how are these people are going to look back at the United States when they were screwed by you or they lost $44 billion in a fraudulent scheme that had nothing to do with Trump, but his name is on the deal. His name is licensed to the deal. His name is on the building, and the investment goes south. It's okay in the private sector. You can deal with it. That's different. That's private business. That's fine. That's how business is done. But now we're talking about the president of the United States. And if it's going down like this in India or Ukraine or Russia or South Korea, pick a country. Turkey. If you only knew what Trump has got going on in Turkey right now, Turkey of all places. It's a chilling example of all of these looming conflicts of interest that could be there with the Trump presidency. If he plays tough with India, will the government assume it has to clear the way for projects in that aggressive pipeline and kill the investigations involving Trump's partners because he's the president of the United States? And all of those investors that would get screwed just because he's the president and India doesn't want to have an international conflict. What if, and now we're talking about India, what if Trump takes a hard line with Pakistan? What if that comes into play and the relationships that he's got going on with the Indian government? It's a crazy situation that nobody really wants to talk about. But I'm telling you, it's the conspiracy of politics. And the way things are going to be going on in back rooms around the world, how are they going to start dealing with these issues? I mean, if he takes a hard line with Pakistan, will it be for America's strategic interest, right? Or is it going to be a profit decision because of his Trump Towers in Pune? What? I mean, I don't know. It is something that we have to stop and take a look at, but nobody really wants to question it. Trump already has financial conflicts in much of the Islamic world as well. Problem that is made worse by all of his anti-Muslim rhetoric and his impulsive decisions during this campaign. One of his most troubling entanglements right now is the aforementioned Turkey. In 2008, the Trump organization struck a branding deal with the Dogon Group. named for its many owners. One of them is one of the most politically influential families in all of Turkey. Trump and Dogan first agreed that the Turkish company would pay a fee to put, once again, Trump's name on 2 towers in Istanbul. When the complex opened in 2012, Trump attended the ribbon cutting and declared his interest in more collaborations with Turkish businesses and in making significant investments there. In a sign of political clout of the Dogan family, Turkish President, our boy, Erdogan, met with Trump and even presided over the opening ceremonies for the Trump-branded property. I'm not making this up. He attended, even though the newspaper, the Dogans own, called the Hurriyet, is one of the few media outlets in the country that publishes articles criticizing a government that is renowned for clamping down on journalistic freedom. So what is going on? The influence that allowed for the Dogans to attract Erdogan to the ceremonies has since collapsed. And once again, a Trump partner became caught up in allegations of criminal activities. In March of this year, an Istanbul court accepted an indictment of Dogan, chairman of the Dogan Group, on charges he engaged in fuel smuggling. And he proclaimed his innocence, by the way, and critics of the action have proclaimed that the indictment was politically motivated, and it was an attempt to crush the company that had served as, a journalistic opponent of the government. And I get all of that, but who's right in the middle of all of it? Donald Trump. It's crazy. Erdogan also struck at the family's business partner, Trump, for his anti-Muslim rhetoric. So now we've got another problem there. Erdogan called for the Trump name to be removed from the complex in Istanbul and said presiding over its dedication had been a mistake. Now, that would leave President Trump in another conflict, in the middle of another mess. So how do we deal with it? And when is somebody going to literally sit down with Donald and go, dude, we've got issues here, 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 and here, and here, and here, and here, and here, and here. And we need to address each one of these individually. We need to sit down and talk, because this is stuff that just can't be swept under the table. Your family's involved. There's profits that are involved. Governments and politicians are involved. Think about that. Again, there are things about Donald that I find immensely appealing. Let's make America great. Let's work on jobs. Let's do, let's worry about America first. This whole trade deficit thing that we've got going on with different countries around the world that are, not only taking our companies and our jobs out of the country, but turning around and charging us for that stuff to come back in that used to be made here. And it has gone on for so long now that the collapse of anything, it's so fragile. It's completely fragile now. So if there's a way to reverse that trend and bring that stuff back here and put people back to work and work on the infrastructure and all, those things about him, I think, are amazingly great, and nobody seems to want to confront those. So we have that side. Then we have all of the other issues. The loose mouth, that bothers me. Not being able to control himself, that bothers me. And then all of these business dealings around the world that are extremely complicated on a private sector level, and then in the public sector political level too as well, that he has to answer for. So there you go. Let's go back to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black.
Hey, Jimmy, it's Jim from New York.
Hey, Jim from New York. How are you?
Oh, great. How are you?
I am doing good, man. It's Thursday night. It's Fadernight. It's the best night of the week.
Yeah, and I meant to tell you about something that just came to mind about. It actually has to do with what you saw at Contact in the Desert.
What's that?
Well, it's getting cold here, and then I need my furnace cleaned, and I just remembered. Well, 3 years ago or so, a guy was working on my furnace, and somehow the subject of UFOs came up. And he told me he was in the Navy, and he saw glowing green UFOs, and there was only one other person with him on deck. They went into the water and followed the ship for a while, and then they rose up, and then they were in the air, and they watched them go up and down and fly around for a few minutes. And when they took off, they looked at each other and just said, "Don't say anything." And 35 years ago, I saw one. I talked to you about it last year, and I always thought, I hear all these stories and read books, and they're always metallic or flashing lights or white or this color or that color. I never heard green until that guy said something, and then you had your story about the glowing green thing. And then, of course, that segues into who's driving these things. Is it the, reptilians
I'll tell you something else that comes to mind if you really want to trip out. But Christopher Columbus, same thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let's not forget about that. I mean, that was right there in the ship's logs. And what about Shag Harbor? There's another example of the thing is, Jim, that is the most trippy for me about all of this is with the sightings that I've had over the years, they were more about what I saw, and they didn't really fit other descriptions of things that I'd seen or that I've heard about over the years. But that green orb over contact in the desert was exactly like other descriptions and videos and films that I had heard about over the years that I had always questioned myself. And I thought, yeah, it's a satellite. Yeah, it's something. It's night vision. It could be anything, And then I see it for myself, and it's exactly the way people had described it to me. And I would listen to their excitement when they would tell me, and I wasn't dismissing it, but I thought that it would be easily explained, that they were being a little bit too naive. Now that I've seen it myself, and I know that it's unexplainable, I still don't know what I saw, and I know this, that's where I really trip out, because now I know exactly what everybody else is talking about. I know what I saw. Yeah. I can't explain it. And you're absolutely right. The question is, what was piloting that craft? It's obvious. It's obviously
who drives it's like who drives the Porsches of the sky, and are the floating cities the Winnebagos, or you know what I mean?
Well, and you know what the crazier part. Believe it or not, if there is a crazier part to this whole thing, is if it's going on like that over Joshua Tree, that just happens to be where we were. And then we saw it the next night, too, as well with night vision. But that just indicates to me that no matter where you are in the world, no matter where you are, what city, country, doesn't matter, no matter where you are, walk out, look up into the sky. Because there is stuff going on up there that you cannot see. And it's going on 24/7. And I firmly believe that. I know that now, once I leave the bunker tonight and I head back home, and I can walk out into my backyard tonight after the show and look up in the sky and not see anything, but it's there. And I know that it is. That's the freakier part to me. Anybody in the world, anybody can walk out with night vision, look up in the sky, and have their mind completely blown. And it's a good thing that we don't have 300 million pairs of night vision goggles, in every single home in the United States, so people can go outside and see the stuff for themselves. Because if they could, it would be a different ball game. Because everybody would be talking about it, and everybody would be questioning their politicians and law enforcement about what's going on. What do you mean what's going on? Hold these goggles. Take a look. Tell me what that is. And go out to an Air Force base right now. Go out to an Air Force base. Go up to some general, some base commander, and hand them those goggles and go, dude, just tell me what that is right there. Don't tell me it's something that is normal because it is not. That's the frightening thing for me, Jim.
Yeah, and even in the daytime, it's like if everybody had a telescope or something,
Well,
immensely powerful.
Yeah.
They're probably visible. And something hit me too. I even remember driving back one day a couple of years ago in the afternoon on a sunny day, and there were some clouds, and I'm going to a red light, and I look up in the west, and there's a cloud, and near it looked like the moon. And I'm like, oh, well, it's probably the moon, because you can see it in the day sometimes. Well, I went home, and at night, all of a sudden, the moon rose at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. I'm like, wait a minute, that couldn't have been the moon. The moon's just rising now, so I don't know what that was. It looked like the moon.
Right. I don't know.
And you don't think of it,
Oh, I don't know. There was the other thing that I saw that night that I don't talk about as much because it's even more fantastical than the green chrome thing that I saw, but was that what looked like Jupiter, and I knew it wasn't because Jupiter was behind me, or Saturn or whatever, this bright star in the sky just moved, about a foot from the left to the right, and then disappeared and went poof, and just in about a half a second and was gone. And that flipped me out. And then I grabbed the night vision and looked in that same spot right above me at 12 o'clock. I had to tilt my head back where I saw it. And I looked at it with the night vision, and I watched it now go from right to left, same distance, and disappear. And I pulled the night vision away, and it was not there. So I don't know. I have no idea how to explain it.
Yeah, I've got a neighbor. Well, he doesn't live there anymore. About 7-8 years ago, that moved in, and he's the only neighbor I have that will talk openly about these subjects. And I'm telling him stuff, and he's like, "Yeah, he's got all the books." And so the first time I met him, he was mowing his lawn, and we're talking about his tractor, and I start going in depth about my sightings and all this. And all of a sudden, this freak cloud shows up, and lightning starts coming out of it. And it starts pouring. And I'm just like, wow, this is too freaky. And he's like, get off the tractor. And I'm standing on it. And then I'm like, that's weird. It's like someone's telling me to shut up, And I mean, we even witnessed a white orb, coming down, like, how in the Wizard of Oz, the good witch shows up and there's a white orb and it floats down. Well, it was doing this for a couple minutes, and him and his wife were out. We're watching this thing float around, like it looked like that, but it came down, probably a couple 100 feet and floated around for a while and went back up into the atmosphere.
Yeah, this stuff exists, Jim. It does, and I've seen what I've seen, and that's it. It's I know that it's out there and it does exist. So,
and that tells you. I mean, there's more than one ET, race out there.
Yeah.
They, I mean, I don't think they have. It would make sense that they have their own types.
Yeah, it does. Well, it's the same thing with us. I mean, we have Ford, Chevy, Dodge, Chrysler, Plymouth, and all the other car companies out. Well, it would be the same thing for them, too, as well. I want to thank you for the phone call, Jim. Be safe out there.
Yep. Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Have a good night.
You too. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. It's Fadernight. Open lines all night long. 323-825-5045. I'll be right back.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
KGRA Radio. Intelligent talk.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Are you tired of brown rust stains on your toilets, sinks, and clothes? Does your water smell and taste bad? Don't live with these problems anymore. HydroCare's revolutionary well water systems, available at Wave Home Solutions, gives you clean, healthy, great-tasting water from every faucet. They remove iron, hydrogen sulfide, sediment, and many other contaminants that are distasteful and damaging your fixtures. You'll be amazed how fresh and clean well water can be. Satisfaction guaranteed. Go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Fadernauts. Things are never what they seem. For the past century, forbidden subjects such as UFOs, backward engineering, human abductions, secret space programs, underground bases, suppressed free energy devices, and other fantastic notions have tested the human mind, forcing it to decipher fact from fiction. Chronicling what he calls the alternative narrative, author Brad Olson gets down to the middle of it all in his best-selling book, Future Esoteric, now released in a second edition by CCC Publishing. And now, you can get Future Esoteric at a special price, plus another free book by just using the promo code Jimmy when you check out. Just click on the Future Esoteric or CCC Publishing banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Go Beckley Teppy. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Teppy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. It's Thursday night, Fadernight. Getting comfortable. Man, okay, I'm going to take this in order, but I think, man, okay, only one call a night, but I don't know. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black.
Well, good evening, Jimmy. R.J. Cole speaking.
Oh, no, what are you doing?
Well, I'm just catching up, man. Just catching up. Wondering what happened here.
Oh, man, it's always, you know, you are the bright spot on any Thursday night, Randy. I got to tell you, man.
It's because my bald head. I've been accused of that a lot.
Hey, I wanted to... Well played. The other night, I was going through the, the 10 best and the 10 worst states in the United States. The happiest, the funnest, the bestest, and so forth. And I didn't know this about Alaska until I had read it. But you guys are number 2, not number 1, but number 2 in the workforce. That you guys have the highest employment rate, not unemployment, but employment rate. Is that really true in Alaska? If you want to work, you will get a job. There was
it was that way up until recently. It's turning around pretty bad. I'll be honest with you. Alaska is supported by the oil industry, pretty much.
Right.
A little bit of tourism, of course. But honestly, most of it is from the oil industry. And right now, on this oil patch, which is the largest in the United States, we normally have 12 gigantic rigs working. These are big, gigantic outfits. Most of them are self-propelled, and they're just huge. That's the norm. Right now, we're down to 2.
Oh, wow.
Stacked. Yeah, so we've been impacted by the low oil prices, and there's a lot of changes coming down the pike that are going to hurt. So a lot of stuff going on up here in Alaska. The governor is, and I think they might have voted it in. I don't live up here. I don't trust it that much, but I don't live up here. I like working up here, but I do not live up here. So I'm home in, Washington State.
Right.
Or that's where I would be if I wasn't working right now, which I am on the slope.
Right, which is...
a lot of changes coming, yeah, and they're trying to trying to appropriate half of the PDF fund that the people normally get up here, which I've never received because I don't, have a resident up here, but...
What's a PDF fund? PDF to me is printable data file. So what?
Permanent fund. Actually, PFD. I'm sorry, it's PFD.
Oh, okay.
PFD. Yeah, the permanent fund dividend check they get from the oil money and stuff. They've kind of latched onto that. I think is the plan. I'm not sure if it's actually going to happen, but that's what the governor's trying to do. And I'm pretty sure they voted to take half of it from the people. So. Things are changing. It's not good at all.
Now, what about the question of the night tonight about somebody out there running everything that you know and love? What do you think about that? Somebody the cabal, the cabal, the puppet masters. Do you see that in your life?
I think it is. I really do. I do. I mean, you look at this election, it's such a joke. How could this even be possible? Without somebody pulling some strings, and apparently they just got a funny streak in them this time around and said, hey, let's screw with the people here and see what happens. But I do believe that there's something going on with that. I think you're absolutely right. Matter of fact,
I'm going to let you finish your thought here in just a second, but about a month ago or 2 months ago, when the conspiracy circles started talking about the election not happening, the possibility of Barack staying in for another term, that the election system was going to collapse onto itself, and and then the talk lately about the possibility of health becoming an issue, or just in general that Trump would be forced to drop out, or Hillary would be forced to drop out, and then who would be filling their shoes and how that would happen. And I had no idea that it was as simple as if somebody drops out, somebody is forced to drop out for whatever reasons, right? That the way that they are replaced is literally the Republicans or the Democrats. They both have the same rules in place. And when I say basically, it's pretty much the exact same system, which they will call a meeting. They will suggest somebody for a replacement and then call for a vote. And the only people that can vote are the ones that are attending that meeting at that moment. Now, if that isn't a conspiracy, I don't know what is. That is criminal, man. And, to go through the entire primary process, all of the debates, the national conventions, and everything that has gone through, and the people have spoken kind of thing, to turn around and just have a bunch of guys and girls, in a back room somewhere, call for a meeting and just put somebody else in place. That's nuts. And it could happen. It really, really could happen. And it is that simple. It could happen that easily.
Well, I was, kind of always hoping there'd be a reset button this year. Maybe that's it. I don't know. I don't mean to be, I'm sure I'm going to make some enemies with that, but.
No, you're not.
Would that be so bad? Would that be so bad to start over?
No, it would not. It would not, man.
Yeah. I can't believe what's going on right now. And I'm just, first time I've ever felt absolutely lost.
You're not the only one. We're talking about, tens of millions of Americans right now that are just in a serious WTF moment. Just like, how did we get here? How did we get where we are today, right now, at this moment? You and I talking on this phone, you on the phone, on this radio broadcast right now. How did we get here? How did we do? How did we let this happen? I mean, how did this actually play out the way that it did? And it did. It really did. We can't ignore it. We are actually in this position right now, and it is nuts.
It is nuts. You could write a script and make it into a movie, and everybody look at it and go, "That's not even possible."
Yeah, I know, and I that's the oldest cliche in the book, Randy. But you are absolutely right. You are so right. Yeah, it is nuts.
The reason I called tonight was that you asked me a couple of weeks ago to call in and tell my story again. But honestly, if we can wait till the week of Halloween or something, that'd be great.
No, actually, no, you are right. And no, go ahead. Call your chips. Go ahead.
I'm good. I honestly would. I think I prefer to wait till Halloween.
Nah. That's
Really?
not a Halloween story. That's a fade to black. That's a real fade to black UFO story.
Well, it certainly is.
Okay, let's go ahead and do this. If you're on hold right now, sorry. All right? Because I got R.J. Cole on the line, and he's got clout. Okay, so I'm going to – I'll start it with this. Let's start with the year. What year did this event take place?
1989, the summer of –
The city was?
Issaquah, Washington.
In what, Washington?
Issaquah.
Ithaquah. Okay, got it.
Issaquah. Yeah, it's a native term. Mm-hmm.
Okay. How many people live in Ithaquah?
Well, I'll tell you, back then there was a population at night of 30,000, but during the daytime, because of all the businesses, it was up to, I believe they said 100 and some thousand.
Oh, wow.
And,
so it's a metropolitan area. Okay.
Yeah, it's a suburb of Seattle.
Right. Yeah. I got you. Okay. So 1989, Ithaquah, what month?
Let's see. It was a cool, you know what? I haven't been able to pin that down just yet. I've actually worked with the other officer trying to do that. We can't come up with an exact month. It was a cool summer night. Let's leave it at that.
Okay, fair enough.
For now.
Fair enough.
We're supposed to have a meeting there here coming up, and we're going to go over the whole issue again, and hopefully he'll be able to call in sometime too.
And what was your job was on this crisp summer night was?
Yep, I was a police officer, actually a sergeant with the Issaquah PD at the time.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and what happened? Now that we've set the stage, what happened? You're on patrol. You're on duty.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened?
Exactly. Well, I was in charge of a squad of 4 people, and we were working night shift. And at about 3 a.m., we get a call from an alarm company that states we had an alarm out at a place called Gilman Village, which is a really nice store area that has been put together with old houses. They moved in a bunch of old farmhouses and put them along a wooden walkway, and a lot of exclusive shops opened up in there. And it's a very popular place, and it's quite large. And I used to go there and walk at night to get exercise.
Sounds nice. Sounds really nice.
And but we got this call, and the other officer, who I'll just name as John, responded along with me, but he got there a little bit before I did, and he arrived, and he found one of the businesses, the one that had the alarm, with the door just slightly ajar. It was just open a little bit. And it appeared, there wasn't any forced entry. There was nothing suspect about it other than the fact the door was open. And it was protocol to call the owner and ask if they would come down and go through the building. We'd go through it first, clear it, and then they would show up and just see if anything was odd. Well, it's their option. He said, "No, don't worry about it. Probably when I closed the door, it just didn't close all the way. It happens." So we said, "Okay, that's fine." We secured the door, went out to the parking lot, and we were standing talking in the parking lot. Now, this is 3 o'clock in the morning, so traffic even on I-90 was extremely light. And there was no traffic going through the city at the time. And we're standing talking to each other, and off to my left, there's something that catches my eye. And what it is a ball of light that was floating about a foot underneath the eave of one of the buildings, not the one that we'd responded to, the one right across the walkway from it.
How far away was this? How far away was the ball of light?
Oh, gosh, it was probably about, I'm going to say 60 feet.
Right in front of you.
70 feet.
And how big?
It was very close. It was close.
And how big was it?
I estimated about the size of a cantaloupe.
Okay, gotcha.
And it wasn't a bright light. It was like a soft, remember the soft light bulbs they used to sell?
Yes.
That's what it reminded me of.
Okay.
And it floated slowly underneath the eave of the building, and it made a perfect left-hand, a perfect left-hand turn at the corner of the building. Now, we're looking at, I guess it was offset a little bit. So we weren't just looking down one side. I could see two sides of the building, the front and the side.
Yeah, the corner. Gotcha.
Yes. And the ball of light, and I'm looking at John, looking at the ball and looking at him. He sees it. He's freaking out. And the ball of light makes a perfect left-hand turn and goes down what I would call the side of the building. It gets down to the other corner, and it was just like it went into an envelope. It just went gone. I mean, it was just that quick. Now, John and I are sitting there looking at each other, looking back at the building, looking at each other. I mean, it was almost cartoon-like. And he looks at me and he says, "Did you just see that?" I says, "Yes. I'm not sure what I saw. What the hell was that?" And we were sitting there discussing it for a few minutes, and all of a sudden, we were both. I was very nervous. I had goosebumps and stuff going. I didn't understand what I was watching. About 3 to 4 minutes later, a ball of light about 4 feet in diameter, 3 to 4 feet in diameter, floating about a foot off the ground, does the same thing. Floats right next to the building, and it's giving off a soft glow light on that you could see the reflection, or the light was against the building. You could see it.
Same
Same
building.
Same building, exactly.
Okay.
And it moved down the side of the building, got right down to that corner again, and it made a perfect left-hand turn. Only this time, when this ball of light made the left-hand turn, it was a silhouette of a little creature inside the ball of light. And I'm watching it, and it's walking inside this ball of light. It's not just floating. Its legs are moving. And the thing that just stuck out my head and still does today, its hands were facing backwards as it walked. And you could see that clearly, but you couldn't make out any details. Like people said, well, did you see its mouth? No, it was like a shadow.
Right.
It was a really good shadow.
Right.
And it made the same corner, went down along the building, and there were some rhododendron bushes in between us and the bottom of that building, and you could see it through the building or through the brush, as it passed through the open leaves and whatnot, but you couldn't see it in front of it. So, I mean, it was a three-dimensional object not being projected, and it was behind this bush, and we could see it go right to the end of that building, and the same thing. As soon as it hit the end of the building, just gone, like it slipped through a envelope or something.
And then what did John do at that point? Do you guys have the same cartoon interaction between?
His arms were folded. I'll never forget that. And I mean, I don't think I've ever had goosebumps that big.
Right.
And we were speechless. Literally couldn't move. We could not move our feet. Literally, we were that much in shock. And John just sits there looking at him. He says, "Okay, did you see that?" I said, "Absolutely, yes." He said, "I'm getting the heck out of here." He turned, got in his car, and left the scene. And I'm standing there still going, but and I got in my car and I left too. And the only thing we said later on that night was, we're not going to tell anybody. We're just going to keep it to ourselves. But we never discussed it any further. So I wasn't even sure up until a couple of years ago when I was a guest. Anyway, we didn't talk about it. And John ended up leaving without ever speaking of it again. On the other hand, myself, when I say leave, he actually left the department several months later, gone. But in between that time, we never talked about it. He wouldn't talk about it. So,
when you said, let me ask you a couple of questions really quick. When you say that this was 4 feet in diameter and the little guy was in the inside of it, so how tall was he? Was he like 2 feet tall? How big was he?
I would say probably 2.5 feet tall, maybe to 3 feet. I'm going to stick with the 4-foot diameter, and I think he would have been at least 2.5 to 3 feet tall.
Man, that is crazy.
You have no idea. Just like when you talk about your incident,
right?
How it affected you so much. I think about this today. I mean, I think about this every single day.
I'm fully jealous about this because I would have done anything to have been there to witness something as insane as this. Now the little guy, I know that the details you may not be able to make out, but was he dressed? Did he have clothes on that you could see?
I could not see any type of a suit or any type of uniform. Any type of a hat.
Okay, all right.
I could see was the head looked, the head.
Yeah, what were the proportions like?
Yeah, okay. When I first mentioned this to another officer, and it spread like wildfire, I made the comment, he looked like a chimpanzee.
Oh, man.
Only it was standing totally erect.
With his hands, with his arms behind him.
Well, his hands were swinging, or his arms were swinging. But his hands were cupped facing backwards. You could see his fingers as they were towards the back of the hand, And
what color was he?
Well, you couldn't see a color, but it was just basically a shadow, a dark shadow inside the ball.
Wow. So he was black or gray?
Yeah, dark
gray.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he could have been pink for all I know, but he was casting a shadow inside that ball.
Right.
And that's what we were looking at. And, I say we never talked about it, but, gosh, what year was it? I can't remember what year I did Josh P. Warren's show. First time I ever talked about it on air. And I got curious, and I went looking for John on Facebook, and I found him. And I called him up. I don't know if I told you the story or not, but it was really interesting because I called him. I got a hold of him, and I said, John, we never debriefed. We never talked about that. He says, Cole, you have no idea how badly that messed me up. And I said, well, I kind of do. I said, it didn't make me crazy or anything, but it's still bizarre. And I said, but we need to talk about it. And I said, I want to know exactly what you saw. And to my relief, without, there's no coaching in between, I guarantee you, he said exactly the same thing or described exactly what I had seen. And I felt good. I felt reprieved. I said, okay, it really happened. And there's no question about it. And you and I are on the same page. I said, just to let you know, I saw exactly the same you just described to me. And then he handed the phone to his wife. And before he did, he said, would you do me a favor and please tell my wife what we saw because she thinks I'm crazy. So I took the time and told her, no, this actually happened. And I talked to him one more time after that. And I says, so what's your wife? How's she doing? He said, well, she thinks we're both crazy now. But, I said, okay, that's all right. But anyway, yeah, it was the most bizarre thing that, and like I said, every single day it pops into my head at least once, at least.
Do you remember, back in the 70s, those hamster cages called habit trails? Remember those?
Oh, yeah.
And they had that clear ball that you could put the hamsters in and let them run around the house, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, exactly. Wasn't it?
Very large hamster, sir. Yeah. So yeah. No, exactly. That's it, but I can't say that the ball was spinning or anything. It didn't look like it was.
That's even trippier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would describe it like the good witch Glinda when she ascended.
Right.
It was trippy, and you know what? I remain confused about it. One of the other talk show hosts, that I wrote to about this, I think that was the first disclosure, actually, read it on his show a couple of times. This was a big dog, and almost as big as you are right now, Jimmy.
Right.
And anyway, he read it twice on his show, once on a Friday open mic, and then on a Monday. And on Monday, he had some scientists there, and he read it again. And he asked their opinion, and that was the first time I ever even thought about it being a dimensional traveler. But that's what they said they believed it was, and that some of their people had seen the same thing at the that ranch out in Colorado, I think it is.
Yeah, Skinwalker. Yeah.
Yeah, yes. That some of their researchers had seen the same exact thing out there.
Yeah, I had I can't remember his name right now, but and then he actually sent me an email with the entire story documented, and he walked out in the front of his house, and there were some other things that were going on at that time too as well. But he goes out and subdivision. There was a couple of other houses on the street. I don't think across the street, I think was woods, if my memory, the way that it's painted in my mind. But anyway, he sees this flash of light up the street, and he looks to his right, and up he sees this ball, and it's right above the street. It's it's a foot off the ground, and it goes right past him and then takes off. But as it went past him, he saw a little being. It was about the same thing, too, 4 foot in diameter. And he sees a being in the inside. But my memory says that this guy was sitting or standing, but had his hands on controls, like 2 levers in front of him.
Wow.
Wow. And this thing went past him. Nearly the same description as yours, except for this guy wasn't walking. This guy was standing with his hands on 2 simple controls, like 2 levers, and and it went past him and then took off. And they called the police, which were dispatched, and the neighbors saw it. And then I think later on, something went on in the backyard or another adjacent property where there was a larger craft that was seen. By multiple witnesses. But this ball with the creature in the inside going up his street was very, very interesting. And
yeah, it is. I've never heard that one before. You never talked about that before. That's very interesting.
Yeah, and it again, the similarities with them are so close. And then of course you have Corey Good with his descriptions of the sphere beings that show up and they are in a sphere and then they appear. Also, something that is very curious to me. And then you can go right back to once again we can just mention it in passing, but that green chrome sphere that I saw at a contact in the desert, which was a definite chrome ball. There's no doubt. Now, it's funny. I've said it so many times. I didn't see anybody, waving out the windows at me. But if I would have seen a little dude on the inside walking, I might have lost my mind too. So I'd find myself calling into somebody else's show and telling this story.
You would, yeah.
Yeah.
No
it's
been kind of nice being able to talk about it. I mean, it's. I think it helps a little bit. I'm pretty relaxed about it now.
Yeah, and thank you for that. And it's so funny because that city, Issaquah, is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Spell it. It's ISS.
God, I was hoping you wouldn't say that. ISSAU.
ISS, ISS Aqua. ISS Aqua.
Yeah, exactly. I can't remember what it means in native tongue, but it's quite a booming little city. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, but maybe somebody up there will hear us talking and maybe remember something, or maybe another incident that you've never heard about that happened somewhere else in the town there, and they can call in and tell us about it. So I really appreciate it, Randy.
No problem.
Hey, man, I got to head to a break here, man. Thank you so much, and be safe out there.
All right, Jimmy. See you guys. See all you Fadernauts later. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
R.J. Bleepin' Cole. Been with us since the very beginning of this show. One of the coolest guys that I know. Thank you so much, Randy. One of the most amazing encounters that I have ever heard, and that includes you. It is Thursday night. It is Fadernight. 323-825-5045. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I'll be right back.
And you are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion,
Reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
Does your basement or crawl space have a damp, musty smell? Well, watch out. That's a sign of too much moisture and not enough ventilation. And that can mean increased mold growth and the buildup of harmful toxins and gases. Don't bother with a dehumidifier. It just circulates the same unhealthy air. Now there's a better way to remove these dangers and odors. It's with the computerized Wave Moisture Control Unit that reduces moisture and expels pollutants.
We replaced our old dehumidifier with the Wave unit, and in only 3 weeks, our basement is dry and the musty smell is gone.
Wave units require no maintenance, no buckets of water or filters, and costs only pennies a day to run. Breathe better, live healthier with an affordable, no-maintenance Wave unit. Call 888-618-WAVE, 888-618-WAVE, or visit mydryhome.com, mydryhome.com.
Ride the wave. Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
What's up, Fadernauts? Studio Dome loves Fade to Black and the F2B audience so much that they have put together the ultimate stereo Bluetooth system. They've done it just for you. Man, check this out. The Studio Dome SBB2 stereo system is here. It's featuring 2 Studio Boombox 2 SBB2 wireless Bluetooth speakers, packed in its own custom hardshell case. This Studio Dome system features the very latest in stereo Bluetooth technology. The 2 full-range boomboxes are in true wireless stereo. You've got to hear this. It's amazing. It's just $129, and use the promo code JCRTWS, and you'll also get free shipping. It's simple. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner. Go back, Lee Tappy.
This is Kristen, Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. Thursday night, Fadernight. The studio is dark. It's just you and I. And the cool tones of Doug Aldrich. What a great story from Randy. What a great encounter. And I'm looking at the pictures everybody's posting in Twitter of Issaquah. A nice little nice little town. Looks cool. It looks very American. And this street shot that Lisa just posted, I'm wondering if that's the building. But anybody that lives there in Issaquah that has heard this story and hears it later, please call into the show. That is such an amazing encounter. And we are talking about a gentleman that was a sergeant there with the police in the town that witnessed this. And we are talking about, law enforcement, the establishment. And I believe Randy's story. And I hope that he gets his coworker, former coworker, John, to call into the show and tell us about it too, as well, because it's an amazing story. I have heard so many different encounters. I've had my own, and never anything quite like that. Although what's weird, a little bit similar. That's what's interesting here. And the fact that there was 2, the first one was a foot, a cantaloupe-sized, soft glowing object below the eaves of the building. So imagine, 20 feet off of the ground, comes up the street, turns, makes a left-hand turn, and heads in the other direction, and then disappears. And then the same thing, but now it's a 4-foot ball, appears in the same spot, goes right past the same building, makes the same left-hand turn, but at that point he sees a creature on the inside of it walking with his arms, with his palms facing to the back. And very interesting, a 2 foot, 3 foot tall being on the inside of it walking, but the ball itself wasn't. Very interesting story. So there you go. Oh, I almost wasn't going to take any more calls tonight. I was leaving everybody on hold. But I'm just going to bring this one through because this call is from Sweden. Hey, Maria, what are you doing?
Calling you.
Yeah. What time is it there right now?
6:30
in the morning.
In the morning.
Are you getting up and going to work?
No, I have a dog that likes to get up about 5:30, so I'm usually up by then.
And so that's why you're listening to Fade to Black, because your dog has to go pee.
Well, no, sometimes I sit up until 4 o'clock in the morning to catch the whole show.
Oh, right on.
But I have to be selective.
Right on. Well, good morning. Are you drinking coffee?
Morning.
Are you drinking coffee?
No.
Okay. I would be.
I'll go back to sleep. Well, I'll go back to sleep after the show.
Well, I'm drinking coffee. I'll admit
Good
it.
for you.
So, the question of the night, which you know, is do you feel the puppet masters in your life? And now you are in Sweden, but
yes,
it's probably no different there than it would be in any other developed, mainstream country like Sweden.
Well, I think the puppet masters probably are global. I don't think it's just a country.
Ding, 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 ding. We have a winner. Yeah, that's exactly the point, isn't it? I mean, it doesn't matter what the country is. I mean, that's the goal here.
Exactly.
So do you feel the way that I described it earlier? Because, and the reason why I said it so in such a general way, that it doesn't matter if you own your house, if you're paying rent, if you're employed, if you're unemployed, your friends, your family, your coworkers, your boss, the people that you got to buy food, right? You go to the market and you're purchasing food, everything around you, you're about 1 degree away from the Rothschilds, right?
Exactly.
Right?
I'm probably closer to it here.
Yeah, you are. You've got a Rothschild for a neighbor.
Probably.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. We may make fun of that, but man, actually, that's a frightening thought.
I think in Sweden they have a little bit more of a thumb on you.
Yes.
Than they do. Well, I don't know. In the U.S. they probably do, but you don't feel it. In Sweden, you feel it a bit.
Was the girl with the dragon tattoo, was that in Sweden?
Yes.
It was, wasn't it?
The book is an author from Sweden.
Right. And the whole corrupt underground background thing that that she gets a part of, it all takes place in Sweden.
Now, I never saw the movie. It was a little too dark for me, I think.
Well, both versions, because there's two. The mainstream Hollywood version of it, which was still shot in Sweden, by the way.
Right.
But I think the other one wasn't a movie. It was a series. It was a television series that was in Sweden. Yeah.
I don't think so.
I do. I think so.
You could be right. I saw television. So.
I saw it. It was like an eight-part mini series, but nonetheless, that is about an underworld and a society that is running things in the background, connected to Nazi Germany and the Third Reich too as well. But this thing. How do you think that the Swedish people themselves reacted to that? I mean, that's a hard thing to own up to.
The Swedes don't, how do I put this? The Swedes don't really own up to anything. They kind of just live their world, and I don't really know how to explain it.
No, it's an honest thing to say, and most people, when they think of, I'm talking about the rest of the world, certainly the United States, you think of Sweden, you think of ABBA and Volvo, right?
Right, sure.
Right, which is honest. It's
Right.
it's too
and
big.
Sob.
And Sob. And Sob not
and
so much.
Husqvarna.
Yes. Yeah. Very well played, Maria.
And Ericsson.
Yeah, Ericsson, of course. Nokia too as well. Is that?
I don't think so.
That's not Swedish?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think that's Eastern somewhere.
Okay, but Ericsson for sure. That's a
Yes.
Are they even still around?
They were bought by somebody.
Yeah. I had a little Ericsson cell phone once, and the thing was about an inch wide and like 3 inches tall. And
They were the Mercedes in the beginning.
that was one of the baddest cell phones I ever had. I loved that thing, and it was tiny, so James Bond. This little tiny. I loved it. And you could just. It was tiny, and it was great. I love that little cell phone. So, but back to the point though. It doesn't matter where you live. If you take a look around yourself, you are just a degree or two away from those puppet masters.
Absolutely.
So what made you call in tonight?
Well, I was because of the last Randy.
Yes.
His story made me think of an incident that happened to me when I lived in Thousand Oaks.
Tell me about it. Here in Southern California.
Yeah.
Okay.
In Thousand Oaks. It was probably back in the 80s.
Okay.
I had just moved in with a friend's family and was renting a room. And I was laying in bed. It was the middle of the night, and I noticed up in my closet, it was missing a door. Those sliding door closets?
Right.
It was missing one of the doors, so half of the closet would be open, which is bad news to begin with.
Yeah, especially at night. Right. Now, Maria, for the audience, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. Thousand Oaks, for everybody that doesn't know, it's about 50 miles from Burbank. It's at the end of the valley. It's the last piece of civilization before you hit the mountains and then head into Oxnard and Camarillo. But Thousand Oaks is also upscale. There are parts of Thousand Oaks that is stupid rich. There's a lot of money out there. And there isn't really a bad part of the tracks in Thousand Oaks. Everything is nice out there. It's a nice area. It's a nice community. And if you live in Thousand Oaks, life is good. So was
it was pretty.
Was this a house?
Decent suburban area.
Right. So was this a nice house that you were living in?
It was in a really nice tract.
Right.
And theory was it was built over an old burial ground.
As was all of Thousand Oaks.
Yeah.
Actually. Right.
Exactly.
Right. Okay. Back to the story. So you're renting a house. You're renting a room.
Renting a room
in
from
a nice
friend's
area,
family, right?
Upscale. Gotcha. Okay.
And
what happens?
I'm laying there in bed. It's the middle of the night, or probably about 10 o'clock at night. And I look up in the corner of my closet and I see this orb. It was like a light, a round, glowing light in the corner of the closet, and I'm staring at it and I'm having an argument with myself. You know how you try and convince yourself, am I seeing what I'm seeing? Maybe I'm not really seeing it, and you're kind of staring at it and your brain can't wrap around it. And it blinked out. And I'm like, well, that was really strange. And I've got this huge window next to me where I'm sleeping, and there's a street light outside, so you can see the light coming through on the floor in the shape of the window. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And I'm laying there, and I'm looking down on the floor, and I see the shape of a man in the window.
Oh, shut up.
And I'm thinking, and I mean, I'm freaking out, right? But I'm not moving because I'm thinking, don't move, don't acknowledge his existence.
Right.
And I kind of peer over to the window because I'm laying in that direction, and there's nobody out there. And I'm like, okay, how can there be a shadow on the floor if there's nobody outside? So I had a phone next to me by the bed. So I called my sister who was working, I don't even remember where, I think at Taco Bell or something. And I said, after work, you've got to come here and spend the night here because I'm freaking out. I'm seeing shadows. I'm seeing orbs. You've got to come to the house. She's like, okay. So I'm just laying there waiting for her.
You know,
And
there's only one Taco Bell in Thousand Oaks. It's on Jan's.
There is it's not
Jan's Road and Thousand Oaks Boulevard at the mall.
Well, back then there was only one, and it was on Thousand Oaks Boulevard.
Yes, that's the one I'm talking about.
And it's like a tile or carpet place or something now. I don't know what it is now, or a wine place.
Okay. Anyway, moving on.
Anyway, so she has this old VW Bug, like 3-speed. You know, you can hear it coming from a mile away.
Right.
So I hear the car turning the corner to come up the street, and I decide I'm going to meet her at the front door because it's late at night and there's a family and they're in bed and blah blah. So I get up and I'm going to race to the front door, and the shadow on the ground stood up.
What?
And blocked my view to my door.
No.
To my bedroom.
No.
I am dead serious. I just about had a heart attack. But I just kept moving. I went right through it and opened the door to let my sister in. And that was the weirdest thing. I mean, it literally went from the floor up. It blocked my view.
Did you wet yourself?
I just about did.
Right, because I almost did right now.
I was going to have a heart attack.
Right.
It was bizarre.
Was there any sound, any noise?
There was no sound, no noise, no nothing. But what was weird was I started saying, is there a connection between that shadow man and the orb that I saw previous?
Of course there was. There had to have been.
Well, now I'm thinking, are those orbs some sort of
delivery?
Portal?
Yes. The thing is, when it happens like that, first off, you have to jump to that conclusion because they happened at the same time. So that's a natural way to put it together. I would absolutely think that they were related.
Because as soon as that blinked out, he was there.
Let me ask.
I say he, but I don't know it was a he.
Yeah, it was a dude. Let me ask you, when you walked through it, did you feel anything?
You know what? I was so freaked out, I don't know.
What did you tell your sister?
I told her the whole story.
And?
She was like, I believe you. We've had some weird things happen in our lives. I mean, I have lots of other stories, but that was the one that came to mind when I was listening to Randy.
What about the owners of the house?
I didn't spend a lot of time talking to them.
Right.
So
you didn't tell them this story?
No. I didn't, and I moved out shortly after.
I bet you did.
I did.
I bet you did. What happened? What happened later on that night? Did you see anything else strange?
No. Once my sister got there and we, gabbed it up for an hour or two, freaking out.
Right.
We went to sleep, and that was that.
Did you hug her when you saw her?
Absolutely. I was never so happy to see her.
With the paranormal experience like that, which it definitely was paranormal, right?
Absolutely.
Anything strange follow you to Sweden?
I had a time slip here in Sweden.
A time slip?
Yeah, it was I don't know how to describe it other than I was out walking my dog, and I lived at that time, I live in a small city now, but at that time I lived in the country. So maybe one or two cars would come down the street in the space of half an hour.
Right.
Kind of thing.
Right.
And I was walking my dog, and I saw this red car go by. And I just looked down and went on with my dog, and not 2 minutes later, the same car went by. And it felt to me like I just relived that moment.
Okay, so that wouldn't be that big of a deal.
It was like I went back in time.
Right. It wouldn't be that big of a
2
deal.
minutes.
Right. It wouldn't be that big of a deal. Happens all the time. But what made it a big deal? Was it impossible for the car to go on any other street to make it?
Yeah, it felt, because of course cars go by and it can be the same car going by again or whatever. I mean, these things happen.
Right.
But for some reason, this felt like I had jumped back 2 minutes.
Wow.
I mean, it just had that feeling. And yeah, for the car to have come by again would have been impossible that quickly because I'm out in the middle of nowhere.
Now, what if the car pulled over and the window rolled down and somebody said, "Hey, jump in"?
I don't think so. No.
I think Carlos Castaneda wrote about that, and it was one of the things in all of his books. It was one of the points that I had never forgotten, which is similar to that, which is if you're driving down the road and you see somebody hitchhiking, right? And then and then a few minutes later, you see the same, a couple of miles away.
You're talking horror stories.
Yeah, you see the same person hitchhiking, right? Don't pull over and pick them up, right? It's just like
really strange.
Yeah, you just don't do it. You don't do it. So, Maria, thank you so much for calling in and taking the time to do that. Oh, by the way, I'll just let you know, Nokia bought Ericsson.
Okay, there you have it.
And then a few minutes later, somebody responded back that it wasn't Nokia, that Sony bought Ericsson.
Yes, it was Sony.
Okay.
It was Sony.
Okay, there you go. Thank you so much, Maria. And
thanks, Jimmy.
It's great to hear your voice. Be safe out there.
Bye.
Bye-bye. You got to love it, Les. How are you tonight?
Good. Great calls by Randy and Maria.
Hey, man, Randy's the bomb.
Yeah, he is.
Randy's just the bomb. So is Maria, man. Maria, it's so cool. I get email and I get posts from people all the time writing me going, Jimmy, pick the country. Right? Ireland loves you. Australia loves you. Germany loves you. Brazil loves you. Mexico. We're out there. South Africa. I get so much email from South Africa. It is frightening.
And it's amazing. I can probably name a Fadernight that's in the sandbox from each one of those places you just named.
Well, and they don't call in, but they're here. And, so when I mention it on the air, they will immediately post back the next day and go, dude, I heard that. Somebody wrote me, I don't know if it was in Twitter or if it was in an email, but somebody wrote me going, dude, Virginia didn't make the list, right? We were talking about West Virginia the other night. And he goes, West Virginia didn't make the list because Virginia's for lovers, man. Or And so I read that, and it just makes me feel so good that people out there are listening, and they take the time to write something or to say something to let us know that they are out there listening. It's just so cool, man.
And it's a great thing to actually get positive feedback, from people versus the negative, I'm sure.
Oh, man, I get enough negative stuff. I just don't read
it. I know.
It's so funny. Dude, the heavy metal music sucks. You suck. Your voice sucks. Your show sucks.
Well, there's that little mouse thing that they can use and just click off.
Well, see, that's the point. That the one thing, Les, listen, whenever I read that and I know what they're thinking is, Jimmy's going to read this, man. It's going to piss him off. It's going to bum him out. I'm going to send him this message. What they don't realize is I read that, and the only thing that I can think of, the only thing that comes to my mind is, dude, you're listening. You're listening.
Yeah.
You're listening. You took the time to type that, which means you are listening.
And
I
Jimmy,
love it.
you've always been a class act. I mean, you've had those 1 or 2 phone calls where, that people have wanted to call in and say some rather negative things, but you just turn it around and go, but you're listening.
Yeah, that's the point. That's the look, there are so many, and I get that, man. It's just like a Lakers fan and a Clippers fan, right?
Yeah.
And somebody wants to complain and criticize, because they're from the other team, right? And it's just like, dude, well, but you watched my game last night, and you're criticizing, but you watched it. It's the same thing. You cannot go, and I understand the pride, right? You're wearing something on your shoulder. You're wearing that patch. I get that. I totally do. But if you're going to go and listen to another show because you're part of the other team and you want to come in here and say something after you just sat through 3 hours, right? It doesn't hold water. It doesn't. That means you were listening, brah.
That's right.
Brah. That's all that it means. It's all that it means. So, and that's it. I just don't have time for negativity. I find it completely funny. And it's so rare. It was bad back in the day when people were part of the wars that were going on, but it doesn't exist now. And we're the last man standing, and that's it. And we came through it, and there you go. So
and as one of my favorite actresses used to say, and that's the truth.
We were just talking about her. You're talking about Lily Tomlin?
Lily Tomlin on the big rocking chair at Sesame Street or whatever.
We were just talking about her the other night, and Rita and I, late at night, she lives here in the Valley. She lives in Sherman Oaks. And she's just very, 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 very cool. And she's still around. She's got a TV show now on, I think it's on Netflix. I can't. Partners? I could be wrong.
Yeah, and it's also got Martin Sheen.
Yeah, Martin Sheen and Jane Fonda.
And the guy from Law and Order or something. I can't remember.
I don't
his
know.
name.
I haven't seen it, but people have been talking about it, that it's great. Everybody's gay on the show, right?
Well, I believe Best Friends, my wife watches it, which is the only reason I know about it.
Right.
A couple that have been friends forever, but the men have been partners or lovers for a very, very long time. They're in their 60s, 70s. They finally decide to come out in the open and get married. And it's all about the relationships between themselves and their ex-wives.
Wow.
Afterwards.
Well, I've got too many shows that I still need to watch and not enough time in the day. But I finally wrapped on House of Cards.
Hey, let me ask you a question. Is Coast this weekend or next weekend?
This weekend is David Icke. Coast is next weekend, Friday and Saturday.
All right.
All right. Take us out of here, Les.
All right. Special thanks to Jon Rappoport and all the first-time callers and Fadernuts who phoned home tonight. Fade to Black executive producer is Rita Kamarian. Special thanks to LJ3, that's me, Renee, Jonas, Mark. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Brother Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vito, and Mark D. Kovar. Fadey by Dale. Webmaster is Drew, the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy. Spaceboy.com. SpaceboyMusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. Syndication is KGRA The Planet. And with that, for the week, Jimmy and I are out of here.
Thank you so much, Les. Be safe this weekend, brother.
All right, you too, sir. Have a great time.
You too. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2016 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. You can follow me right now on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. Until then, everybody be safe. We'll see everybody at David Icke this Saturday. Come out and hang out with all of us. Go Beckley Teppy.